Cool Figure TV. Revolutionary salute. Revolutionary salute. Like, share, subscribe. Welcome to the House of Revolution. You know I'm your humble host, the Y'all Mean a Revolution, and this disgusting pervert P. Diddy finna drag his Hollywood friends down with him. Before we get into that, be sure to wipe your feet. That means hit the like button, like, share, subscribe. Let everybody know Core Figure is live. Support the House of Revolution. I can't believe my ears. Salute, family. When I heard the news talking about this, I say, yeah, we're going to put some geopolitical things to the side for just for today. And let's get into this late-breaking news because unnamed Hollywood celebrity done got hooked up to this 13-year-old, and they got to be brought forward.
The Busby law firm based in Houston announced that 7 new lawsuits have been filed against embattled rap mogul Sean Diddy Combs, but this time he's not the only celebrity mentioned. At this time, other celebrities have not been named as defendants, but according to attorneys, these new complaints do reference celebrities, both male and female, though they remain unnamed. The lawsuits, which were filed in New York on Sunday, accuses
female celebrity. This 13-year-old young lady says she was her drink, somebody handed her a drink. A 13-year-old, salute Queen, salute family, salute to San Antonio. A 13-year-old say she was handed a spiked drink. What? Who the hell is handing 13-year-old kids drinks? But we're gonna get into that. Salute to our revolutionary queen, Kiana Perkins, for the donation to the war chest. Revolution is real life. Absolutely appreciate the love, queen. Salute to you. But a female celebrity was in the room too as this went on, and a male celebrity all worded this young lady before Puffy. I don't know who the male celebrity gonna be, but the female celebrity, Mary J, has been a lot of these situations with P. Diddy, and I'm thinking Kim Kardashian. I don't know. Y'all just tell me who y'all think it is, but it's a male celebrity and a female celebrity. Salute Dallas, Texas in the building. They also, we're going to be hearing what their name is. They're not going to be able to buy these people off. No. This was a 13-year-old. They're going to get brought forward.
Combs of aggravated sexual assault, sexual abuse, and sexual exploitation. Most of the incidents allegedly happened in 2022, but some go as far back as the year 2000 in the cities of New York, LA, and Las Vegas. The alleged victims are 4 males and 3 females and includes minors. According to the complaint, one of the accusers was 13 years old. She said she was invited to a 2000 VMA after party by Diddy's driver. She was taken to a home where she claimed she was given a drink, and after having it became woozy.
Who is that driver, man? We want that driver brought, because that driver, he can't get away with, see, this getting more to be more than just Diddy and his fetishes and things of that nature. Because this driver telling that 13-year-old to come to the 13-year-old, I don't care. She could have been the best singer we ever heard. No 13-year-old supposed to be going to no after parties with no grown men to discuss no business or nothing else. That's disgusting. That's disgusting. So this driver, they need to be locked up too. And I don't give a damn what the driver say. P. Diddy. See, it got to be more than just P. Diddy. Nah, this driver needs to get about 5 to 10 years of the streets hounding, because they got this 13-year-old child for P. Diddy and invited her back to the party. So her drink, 13-year-old can get spiked.
She went into an empty bedroom to lie down, and that's when she said Combs and 2 celebrities, a man and woman, came in. She alleges that the male celebrity raped her while Combs and the female celebrity watched, and then Combs raped her while the 2 celebrities watched.
Now, I don't know who the female celebrity can be, but I got a feeling Mary J gonna be somewhere in these indictments, man. Mary J has been, well, she was a victim, and then she just got into victimizing. That's true. Everybody looked over when Danny Boy said Mary J trafficked him as a 16-year-old from the West Coast to New York. And I'm going to tell people this, how we be getting on these men, we going to get on perverted women too, because there's too many perverted aunties and too many perverted women in the community taking advantage of young boys. This got to stop too. So I don't know if this is Mary J, but a female celebrity. It could be J-Lo. I forgot about J-Lo. It could be J-Lo, a female celebrity and a male celebrity. Who y'all think this male celebrity could be? Because they all worded the young girl first. But what these celebrities never knew was P. Diddy he been recording them. And whoever these two people is, they've been getting extorted all this time.
Another accuser was 17 years old, an aspiring artist in 2022. He alleges that Combs drugged and sexually assaulted him at a party and told him he could make him a star.
There is no doubt in my mind, because the accusation is a rape against a 13-year-old child, that unnamed celebrity will eventually be revealed. There will be a separate civil suit against that person, as well as a criminal investigation. These are very, very serious allegations. And even though P. Diddy's legal team and other people will do all they can to keep these individuals' names secret or private, it will come out.
Now we find out why a disgusting bozo who wasn't really that talented like P. Diddy could make it so far. We knew something was fishy here this whole time. Like, what does he really do? Nigga like Tommy off of Martin. You don't got no job, man. Like this nigga, we didn't learn him as the dancer. He the dancer. He ain't making no beats. They say, oh, he the king of the remixing. You mean the king of copying people's songs? Do you remember that's how he came up? Remixing. Stealing people ideas? And they tell you, before P. Diddy became a star, before he hooked up with Biggie, this dude had this in him. He was doing this shit in college. One of these disgusting Greek freaks, this is going to be fraternal in the end. One of these disgusting individuals from these colleges, they groomed P. Diddy. And his rise to stardom was all about abusing and him finding more victims to abuse, while the real handlers at the top sat back and they got to watch everybody get abused. What the industry going to find out is, all of your favorites, all the favorite stars, Salute, have been abused. This man abused Paris Hilton, all of them people. Justin Bieber, they liable something gonna happen to him. He abused all of them. He got him on tape. For the
Combs has denied the allegations against him, saying the filings are an attempt to gain publicity. Since November, at least 25 civil lawsuits have been filed against Combs, and many remain active. Combs is currently in jail awaiting trial for sex trafficking and racketeering charges. Now, the lead counsel for the alleged victims, Tony Busby, said in an Instagram post that they expect to file cases weekly against Combs and other defendants as they continue to collect evidence. Busby has previously said they represent more than 100 alleged victims of Combs.
Sean Diddy Combs has received a new set of lawsuits from alleged victims of rape and sexual assault, including from one woman who claims he and an unnamed celebrity raped her at 13 years old. On October 20th, a new series of 5 civil lawsuits were filed against Combs on behalf of 2 men and 3 women. Among the allegations detailed, which include claims that Combs sexually assaulted or raped the plaintiffs in individual incidents between 2000 and 2022, is one claim from an anonymous female plaintiff that she was raped at the age of 13 by Combs and an unnamed male celebrity. According to the filing obtained by E! News, in September 2000, when the plaintiff was 13 years old, she had a friend drop her off at New York's Radio City Music Hall so she could try and sneak into the MTV Video Music Awards. While unable to enter the venue without a ticket, the plaintiff approached several limousine drivers outside the venue, one of whom claimed to work for Combs. According to the suit, the driver, quote, told her that Combs liked younger girls and said she is what Diddy was looking for.
Nah, that driver need to be arrested.
To come back later that evening for an after party. When she returned later, she claims the driver drove her alone to a house where she was asked to sign a non-disclosure agreement, of which she never received a copy.
A
The plaintiff
13-year-old.
claims she was given a beverage which made her, quote, feel woozy and lightheaded, and that she went into an empty bedroom to lie down. It was there, she claims, that Combs entered with two celebrities, one male and one female. According to the plaintiff, Combs and the male celebrity stripped her of her clothes, and then the male celebrity held her down as he raped her, while Combs and the female celebrity watched. The male celebrity and Combs then allegedly switched, with Combs raping her as the two celebrities watched. The plaintiff claims Combs then attempted to force her to give him oral sex, but that she hit him in the neck and fled the room. After fleeing the party, the plaintiff allegedly reached a gas station where she was able to call her father for help. In response to the new filings, Combs' lawyers referred E! News to a previous statement, claiming the barrage of filings were attempts to garner publicity. His lawyers told E! News, Mr. Combs and his legal team have full confidence in the facts, their legal defenses, and the integrity of the judicial process. In court, the truth will prevail that Mr. Combs has never sexually assaulted anyone, adult or minor, man or woman. Combs' legal team also filed a motion on October 20th, shared with E! News, to request an order prohibiting further extrajudicial statements from prospective witnesses and their lawyers that substantially interfere with Mr. Combs' right to a fair trial. Attorney Tony Busby, who has already filed a number of civil suits against Combs on behalf of alleged victims, shared a statement with NBC News in regards to the new filings, saying, per the outlet, "We will let the allegations in the filed complaint speak for themselves and will work to see that justice is done. We expect to be filing cases weekly naming Mr. Combs and others as defendants as we continue to gather evidence and prepare the filings." Sean Diddy Combs remains behind bars on charges of racketeering, sex trafficking.
Another week and another Diddy lawsuit. A woman is now claiming that Diddy and another male celebrity, while a female celebrity watched them, are her. And despite Diddy facing all these allegations, it hasn't stopped his streaming numbers. And a lot of people have been making conspiracy theories about a connection between Diddy and the now late Liam Payne. Well, the autopsy is now revealing, very similar to what Diddy has been accused of possessing when he was arrested by the SDNY, of pink powder being in his system when he allegedly threw himself off a balcony in Argentina. Welcome back to the Kempire Channel, your number one source for pop culture news and music, entertainment, reality TV, and so much more. As always, be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so you never miss out on breaking news when we go live or when we upload. So before we get to the Diddy of it all, there's been a lot of conspiracy theories on connections between Diddy and other celebrities that have attended his white parties. But there have been some conspiracy theories recently about Liam Payne's passing and his involvement with Diddy.
I went over to say hello to P. Diddy, and Jay-Z was there, and Leonardo DiCaprio was sat.
All right, I think you've dropped enough now.
We won't get into that, but we will talk about this similar connection because I think a lot of us never heard of pink powder or pink coke ever before. Well, now, according to this autopsy, this is what was found in Liam Payne's body when he died. Deadline says the toxicology test results indicate that Liam Payne had multiple drugs in his system at the time of his death last week, including, quote, pink cocaine, as well as cocaine and crack. Pink cocaine is a recreational drug that includes ketamine, methamphetamine, MDMA, opioids, and or new psychoactive substances, according to the National Institute of Health. A partial autopsy report last week determined that the former One Direction singer died of, quote, multiple trauma and internal and external hemorrhage as the result of the fall from the balcony of his third-floor hotel room in the Palermo neighborhood of Buenos Aires, where he was staying. According to Deadline, they said that Payne's body will remain in Argentina until the autopsy is complete, according to ABC News, citing sources. As reported earlier, hotel staff raised the alarm that Payne's apparently erratic behavior moments before his death, 911 calls revealed. A receptionist at the Casa Palermo Hotel in Buenos Aires, Argentina, notified police that Payne's life was in danger, according to a recording of the 2 emergency calls. The hotel alleged that Payne was intoxicated on drugs and alcohol and had been trashing his room at the time of the disturbance. Staff called for urgent assistance. But the first time for a lot of us ever hearing about this pink powder or pink cocaine was this Diddy situation, something that was a part of his freak-offs materials. And according to reports, when Diddy was arrested at the New York City Midtown Hotel, apparently they may have found pink powder in his room. Well, Diddy is back in the headlines this week because he is facing another lawsuit. But before we get to this lawsuit and the details of this lawsuit, Diddy, despite all of the backlash that he's received, it hasn't hurt his streaming numbers. New York Times says that in the 11 months since the singer Cassie accused Sean Combs in a lawsuit of SA and years of physical abuse, the mogul's once booming music career has largely fallen apart. His songs have vanished from radio playlists. He became a pariah at the Grammy Awards, where he once held court. And his business interests, including stakes in media network and popular liquor brand, have collapsed. At least 17 more lawsuits have been filed against Mr. Combs, alleging misconduct, and last month he was indicted in New York on federal charges. As you know, Sean Diddy Combs has pled not guilty and is appealing his detention in a Brooklyn jail that's supposed to be held on his birthday, November 4th. But the New York Times says, but through it all, one part of Mr. Combs' music business has remained steady and even seen some growth. The popularity of his songs on streaming services like Spotify and Apple Music. They said over the last year, Mr. Combs...
He don't own a lot of the small hats on that stuff. They know what they're doing. They making themselves lots of money. They're seizing his money. This is a scam that they're doing. This is not getting him richer.
Combs, who's known as Diddy and Puff Daddy, faced a drumbeat of negative stories in the news media, like the raids on his homes by federal agents in March and a leaked security camera video in May that showed him brutally assaulting in a hotel from 2016. The number of people who followed him on Spotify has steadily grown. That figure has climbed from 1.5 million late last year to 1.8 million now, an increase of 15%, according to Chartmetric, which tracks data from streaming music and social media. They said recently the number of clicks of Mr. Combs' songs have shot up dramatically. In the week before his arrest on September 16th, his catalog had about 3.2 million streams on services in the United States. In the weeks following, the figure rose about 50% to 4.8 million, according to Luminate, which supplies the data for Billboard's charts. In the most recent chart week, the number dipped a bit to 4.3 million. On social media, Mr. Combs' follower count has fluctuated depending on the platform, but support on TikTok has been strong, where the hashtag free Diddy has 12.
Yeah, you have pedophile rings. You got people who love what Diddy was doing. Are you kidding me? You know, that's their hero. They just mad that he going down like Bow Wow. These people coming out saying they missed the P. Diddy party. P. Diddy had these people hooked. He was giving them their fix. And once he got them on tape just so they'll keep partying, he wasn't going to let the shit out. But then he had everything in his hand. He kept elevating him and Jay-Z. He got Jay on tape. But people go support him around the world. What do you mean? Tom Hanks left America when the pressure got hot and went to go live in Greece because, see, Diddy could have got away with this in Greece because his little sickness that he got for underage people, that's a mental illness, and you can get a Social Security check in Greece.
12,000 uses. They remind us, it says, in the music business, this has become a popular phenomenon of the streaming era. A household name like R. Kelly, Marilyn Manson, or Michael Jackson come under harsh scrutiny over allegations of sexual misconduct and may temporarily suffer broader cultural marketplace, but maintain steady streaming numbers. According to George Howard, a professor at the Berklee College of Music, sees this as partly a function of curiosity, as casual listeners refresh their memories about an artist's work or to do their own homework in trying to understand the news. Clicking on a track is easy and free way to do that. If Tower Records were still around, we would not see people
Luke
walking
J
in there
going
and
down.
paying $15 for a
Hold on.
CD to
You
satiate.
already see, I'm gonna have to bring information on that. You see, they coming after Dr. Dre. He got plenty of allegations. They coming after Dre. They gonna get. I've been said this 2-3 years ago. They not letting none. That's why you should stay with your people, build with your people. They're not gonna let these shoe shiners live amongst them all wealthy, getting arrogant when they feeling themselves and calling them racist. Hell no, they coming back to collect all of their monopoly money back for them after they humiliate them before their people and show all the disgusting. That's why they threw Harvey Weinstein out there. Give them a few people to say, see, we took on Weinstein and we're going to take down the whole black music culture, NFL, NBA, because everybody wanted to be like Diddy. This is what money worship will get you, having no morals. This is what that'll get you.
Create that curiosity. That's a good point.
And I'm here for it.
But there's an anonymity with streaming. It's the same human impulse as looking at a car wreck. They said nostalgia or headline-driven interest may count for recent bump in Mr. Combs' streaming numbers, but they can't explain the continued popularity of Mr. R. Kelly, who in 2022 and 2023 was sentenced to more than 30 years in prison for child S crimes, S trafficking, and racketeering. I will never understand that, but that gives a little glimmer as to why.
I got to dig into these new allegations from R. Kelly's daughter, which I don't know if they true or not. If that's true, then R. Kelly, them niggas need to go ahead and take care of their business. I'm gonna have to send some of that canteen, stop interviewing that nigga and stop taking his dirty protection money. If he was touching on his daughter, if that is come out to be true, then Boosie and all these niggas need to shut up. I love R. Kelly music too, but if he was, man, please, it's on so far you can go.
Some of this might be happening, but as I told you before, Diddy's back in the headlines this week for another lawsuit. But this lawsuit, unlike some of the other lawsuits, we did mention one previous lawsuit that involved a 9-year-old boy, but this one is interesting because there is another unnamed celebrity, male celebrity, that participated, and apparently a female celebrity that watched. According to People magazine, they said five
that would be way too crazy if it was Jay and Beyonce. Huh?
Lawsuits accusing Diddy of SA have been filed by 2 men and 3 women, one of whom was 13 at the time that she claims that she was R'd. None of the plaintiffs are identified by name, but they all accuse Combs of either SA or R'ing them in alleged incidents spanning from 2000 to 2022. The complaints, which have been obtained by People, were filed on Sunday, October 20th at the Southern District of New York. The lawsuits are just the latest filed against Combs, whose legal woes began mounting, as you know, last November when his ex, Cassie Ventura, accused him of sexual misconduct in a suit that was quickly settled. 24 hours, less than 24 hours. So a woman who was 13 years old in 2000 when the alleged incident occurred said that she had gotten entry into one of Combs' party at a residence in New York following the Video Music Awards. Upon arrival, she claims that she was asked to sign a non-disclosure agreement and was eventually drugged after being given a drink, according to the complaint. The accuser says that she was later approached by Combs, who had a, quote, crazed look in his eyes, who allegedly told her, "You are ready to party," the complaint alleges. The accuser, who is now in her mid-30s, claims that at the party, she was R'd by an unnamed male celebrity while an unnamed female celebrity watched before Combs R'd her as well, according to the complaint. The other complaint detailed alleged incidents in Las Vegas and Los Angeles. The other 2 female plaintiffs both claimed that Combs R'd them after drugging them. One of the 2 male accusers says that he was drugged and SA'd by both Combs and an unnamed celebrity, according to the complaint. The other male accuser says that Combs groped him at a Ciroc vodka party in Los Angeles. The latest plaintiffs accusing Combs are being represented by high-profile attorney Tony Busby. As you know, Tony Busby held a press conference claiming that he had 120 victims ready to come forward. and file their own individual lawsuits. 25 of those 120 people included minors. So in a statement to People, this is what Diddy's attorneys have to say. The press conference and the 1-800 number that preceded today's barrage of filings were clear attempts to garner publicity. Mr. Combs and his legal team have full confidence in the facts, their legal defenses, and the integrity of the judicial process. In court, the truth will prevail that Mr. Combs has never sexually anyone, adult, minor, or man or woman. As you know, we did a video a few days ago letting you know an update in regards to Diddy's legal situation in regards to him seeking bail for a third time. He's appealing the denials that he has. That is supposed to happen on November 4th. However, one of the new information that we got from that is that there was new information that Diddy's legal team wanted to enter into court. So if you missed that video, be sure to check out.
Seven new lawsuits have been filed accusing Diddy of horrific things, including one by a 13-year-old.
Welcome to Popcorn Planet, everybody. It's Kim, and I am joined with Andy whilst he is traveling today. I'm going to hand it over to you. We've got some news today regarding Diddy, and it's getting pretty crazy.
Yeah, I'm here in DC. I'm actually going to be doing an appearance on a show later. We'll give you guys more insight in the channel. But this was breaking, and thank you, Kim, for patching me in to do it because, yeah, we have 7 new lawsuits. 5 of them have been filed so far. We're still gathering all the details. So we'll have a full live taking down all these new lawsuits. So make sure to subscribe, stay tuned. But the one that's getting all the headlines is this one being accused by a 13-year-old at the time. And she alleges in the suit that there were 3, I think, one celebrity gets involved, 2 are watching. Unnamed celebrities are mentioned in the suit, and obviously that's getting a lot of headlines. And it gave me a lot of questions too, Kim, of, well, wow, why aren't you naming these celebrities? I was hoping we could go through the suit, let everybody know, get them informed. And I did talk to Christopher Melcher. I'll give you his insight, share some of our opinions. But yeah, Kim, we're losing track of and count of how many are coming in by the day. And these come in from Tony Busby, the attorney who has the over 120 plus suits. And now he's just dropped 7 more. 5 filed this morning. He announced last night those 7 would be income. But Kim, are you surprised that we're getting them this fast? It seems every week we're getting another 5 to 10 lawsuits filed by this law firm.
I think ultimately when he said originally that he had 120 potential lawsuits to be filed and that they would begin to come out in the next 30 days, I think it's interesting that we had 6 last week and then we now have 7 this week. And to be clear, as Andy said, 5 of them have been filed at this time. They may have been uploaded by the time we upload this video, but it is moving very quickly. But this does bring the civil lawsuits against Sean Combs up until like the 20s. Now we're doing our best to keep track of all of them and all the legal documents. It's a lot, everybody. But this one in particular seems to be getting a lot of attention, the 13-year-old, and we do have the factual allegations here to go through if you're ready to do that, Andy.
Yeah, well, if you can read it, let's go through those, and then we can discuss.
Sure. Okay, so the factual allegations are on and around September 7th, 2000. Plaintiff, then 13-year-old, had a friend drop her off at Radio City Music Hall in New York City so that she could attend the Video Music Awards or the VMAs. Plaintiff arrived at the venue and saw large crowds gathering as artists and entertainers began arriving. And as the event began, the crowd moved inside, but plaintiff, without a ticket, remained outside, determined to get into an after party. She then approached several limousine drivers, attempting to talk her way into the VMAs. One of the limousine drivers she spoke to claimed to work for defendant Combs and told her that Combs liked younger girls and that she fit what Diddy was looking for, not allowing her into the awards, but inviting her into the after party. So the driver.
Yeah, that should be easy for them to track down a real investigator. They gave you a date, a time, a party, a Pacific party, VMAs. It should be easy to look at Diddy's payroll and see who his driver was. Who was he paying to drive him around? Who was he paying? Because whoever he was paying, whoever his driver, they told that 13-year-old girl, you just what Diddy looking for. He like him young. Come on.
Driver instructed plaintiff to return around 9:30 or 10, promising to take her to the party. Later that evening, plaintiff excitedly returned to the driver, who drove her alone in a black limousine with black interior. After approximately 20 minutes, plaintiff arrived at a large white house with a gated U-shaped driveway. And once inside, the two men asked the plaintiff to sign a non-disclosure agreement, informing her that she could not discuss what happened at the party. She gave them her name and signed.
Was that around the same time? Was the Shine? Was that Shine? Yeah, that's 99 and 2000. Was that shooting with Shine them around 2000? Because all right, after the shooting, he broke up with J-Lo. You know, all right, I remember his driver was in part of that little dirty business too.
Signed the form but did not receive a copy. Inside the house, plaintiff recognized many celebrities in what appeared to be a living room. Waitstaff carried trays of drinks, and loud music played throughout the house. Plaintiff observed widespread substance use, including that green, as well as white stuff. And plaintiff accepted a drink, a reddish yellow mixture that tasted like orange juice and cranberry juice, and then
Disgusting.
something bitter. After drinking just one drink, plaintiff began to feel woozy and lightheaded, making her need to lie down. A photograph of an actual exemplary container used by Combs and or his agent's employees to insert specific substances into drinks is seen below.
That's why all of this, people talk about, oh, I just went to the party, and some of the people, I left early. Anybody say, well, I left PD the party early. So what? You seen these 13, 12, 11, 14-year-old kids walk around this party drinking? How many celebrities done say, hey, well, hold this been got? None of them ever said that. Now, here's this 13-year-old. She's been on for the drink. She get woozy. They spike the punch. Then they tell her, oh, you go to one of these back rooms over here. But everybody, oh, I left early. Well, I didn't see nothing really going on. You got eyes. You see these kids walking around here drinking, doing drugs.
And looking for a place to rest, plaintiff entered what she believed to be an empty bedroom so she could lie down for a moment. She did not lock the door. Soon after, Combs, along with a male and female celebrity, entered the room. Combs aggressively approached the plaintiff with a crazed look in his eyes, grabbed her, and said, "You are ready to party." Combs then threw plaintiff toward another male celebrity, who we're calling Celebrity A, who removed plaintiff's clothes as she grew more and more disoriented.
And now that's for everybody who said, oh man, them women they want Puff money. Man, they knew what was going on if they went there, man. They went there to fuck. Shoot, they already knew Puff and them was gonna toss them up, man, gold diggers. So what about that 13-year-old? And Puffy telling that 13-year-old, you ready to party. Now, a lot of y'all who perverts at heart or just, oh, the white man just coming after because your ass got something you hiding your goddamn self. You want to have a little get out of jail free. Oh, they're coming after me because whitey. We ain't going for that house, niggas. Okay, y'all been saying, these women, they scantily clad, they barely got on any clothes, man. What was a man to do? How about this 13-year-old? That Puff and these two celebrities went in that room after they knew she had got drugs. Then Puff like, you ready now? Huh? What about that?
Plaintiff was held down by Celebrity A, who
perverts in real life
barred her while Combs and Celebrity B, a female, watched. After the male celebrity finished, Combs then barred plaintiff while Celebrity A and Celebrity B watched. Combs attempted to force plaintiff to perform using her mouth, but she resisted by hitting Combs in the neck. He stopped. Plaintiff grabbed her clothes and shoes and left the bedroom, roaming undressed through the house looking for an exit as the party continued. And once outside, plaintiff put her clothes
running around naked through the house. I never seen nothing. I left early. I don't know what went on at 2:00 in the morning. People disgusting. But guess what? This what they went to the party for. Like Cuba Gooding Jr., like what Leroy say. Cuba Gooding Jr. know everything at Puff party supposed to be green light. Nobody supposed to be saying no. And to make sure you can't say no, they got a little extra motivation for you. Spike your drink.
Back on and left the scene in the dark. Eventually, plaintiff reached a gas station. The female clerk noticed her distress and allowed her to use the phone. Plaintiff called her father, admitted she had lied about her whereabouts, and asked him to pick her up. After the plaintiff fell into a deep depression, which continues to affect every facet of her life. So those are the allegations.
Ugh. Yeah, look, it's a lot. It's intense, and again, like I say in all these, if it's real, it's horrific. I mean, given everything that we're reading from these allegations, it's easy to sort of just assume it based on sort of the video and things we've heard of Diddy. But again, guys, we always have to be objective and look at these fairly. He has the chance to defend himself. Look, I will say there's a few red flags on this one for me. The first one being, how do you have a 13-year-old sign an NDA? I know it could just be standard; they have everyone sign, but if they know her age or they suspect her age, why would they want proof that she was there? So that's a part of the story that is I can't turn off my analytical brain, Kim, when I'm thinking about these cases.
Listen,
So that's one thing where I'm like, what?
listen, no way would Tony Busby bring this case with this 13-year-old unless he had the evidence he feel is sufficient enough to go forward. Now, whether or not the court do whatever or did he tap out, that's on them. But no way would Tony Busby waste his time and his fame he done built up in Houston on a frivolous case. Tony Busby must have evidence from he's talked to the father. The father must remember picking his daughter up. He has evidence that this 13-year-old girl. Now, whether what this when she was a child said actually happened in there, we'll find out. But it's probably some evidence leading to she was there at the party. That's a problem.
How does it make sense? The other thing is the fact that why aren't you naming the celebrity? I think that's going to be a big question for many. And I asked Christopher Melcher about that, just from a legal perspective. Like, is that a smart move? Does that make it more believable, less believable? His reaction was more just, look, it's a clear shakedown of these celebrities. This case is this case is what, 24 or 5 years old. It's a long allegation, and more likely, I think what Tony Busby, the lawyer, realizes is we can get money from this celebrity and get something. If it really happened, you want the victim to get something, whatever, because this is not a criminal case, it's a civil case, and that's what it's ultimately about, is just winning money. At the same time, you'd think you'd want to name this accuser if they did such a horrific thing. So I'm torn on it. Now, it's a clear shakedown, he said, because it's going to be a question whether the celebrity wants to pay an amount. And if they pay that amount, does that really keep the information from coming out? And then you got to remember there's several celebrities in this alleged incident. Does one pay and the other one doesn't? And then it comes away. And then if you pay, try to silence this, is that going to make you even look more guilty? Christopher did say, though, the other option is that these celebrities could attempt to go after Busby and really threaten him to say, look, this is completely far-fetched. You have no proof. This didn't happen. If you even attempt to allege our names in this suit, we will come after you and own you. So it'll be interesting for me to see what the responses are to all these lawsuits, to be honest, but specifically this one, because while it seems so salacious and crazy and like, oh my God, and I think a lot of people are just going to lean in and assume this is true. Who's the celebrity? Let's go get him. I take a step back to sort of figure out what's really accurate here, Kim. And again, I'm not saying it didn't happen. I don't want to not believe, listen to this accuser, but I think we've learned enough now. We have to make sure we're gathering our evidence, hearing all sides, because there are sadly going to be people who pile on. Now, again, a 13-year-old roaming around this party.
See, the problem, people, what's going to shock the conscience of America is this is normal behavior for these perverts. This happen every day, B. This is what they do every day. And what's so crazy is this is not what celebrities do every day. This is what happen out in neighborhoods every day. Plenty of women done been traumatized. I done told stories about the help someone say when women done stumbled to my spot. I remember back in the day vividly in 2002 when I'm trapping. Y'all, I was trapping. And a young lady badly made it to my house from the club. And some local joker, one of them was a kingpin. They done spiked her motherfucking drink. They trying to all have her for themselves, and she got up out of there and made it to my house. You see what I'm saying? And I won't say who or when or how, because everybody down there knows they're going to talk about. But this go on in the hood all the time. Niggas doing this to these females, pressuring these females, acting like if they smoked with them, drunk anything with them, they got to pay now. Come on, man. It's some women, they too ashamed to say a lot of shit. This shit is just real. You know? And it disgusting niggas like they master, they feel like they can do whatever they want. You know? With them. And see, when women stop really giving a damn about a lot of these suckers, then they want to date rape them. You know?
there's going to be questions on this to a jury for sure. It does say at the end that she talked to her father, so it looks like that's the one piece of proof, right, we could get of the father backing up the story.
I would even
But what are
say
your
too
thoughts,
that
Kim, on this case?
yeah, I would say the other thing too would be if that gas station attendant potentially would be considered a witness at the time. So I think there's a lot of questions about it. I would be interested to see what evidence they do have. I think the other thing I did want to bring up, because it is being heavily rumored right now, we want to be clear, we do not, this is purely speculation. We do not have evidence of this. But if you look at the timeline, Sean Combs was with Jennifer Lopez at the time of this event, the
See, I was
VMAs. This
wondering.
was the 2001, and this is where she wore that white tank top.
Okay, so the shooting hadn't took place yet, because I thought the shooting took place in '99. That's why I was trying to wonder, had the shooting took place yet? Because if it haven't, the driver could be the same dude that was the driver who got busted with them that night.
And the white pants. And they were, as it says in this article here, that she walked alongside her boyfriend at the time, Sean P. Diddy Combs. So because we have these two unnamed celebrities and people are now trying to guess and figure out who it is, her name is coming up in conversation. But to be clear, we do not have any evidence. I've heard rumors that she may have co-hosted this party, but I don't know. So we're going to keep our eye on that and do some more digging and try to learn as much as we can about each of these lawsuits and the events surrounding them. But my goodness,
Yeah,
are people talking about this one?
Yeah, what I think that you've heard, because I
And what did it say, 2000? Okay. Was Nelly out then? Was Nelly out? Because it could, it could be Nelly, because they was talking about Nelly. It could have been Ja Rule too, because they already said P. Diddy was very possessive of Nelly. And I've heard about Nelly doing some swinging with T.I. Could be T.I. too when you think about that. Nelly doing some swinging with T.I. and Tiny. You see? All we got to do is go back to 2000. Some of these cats weren't on the scene back then. But some of these cats was on the scene.
think it's even in the title list. That's important because that I've seen it myself. Everyone's saying, "Oh my God, JLo hosted this party." We have no proof that she hosted the party, but she was at the party. She was absolutely supporting and being there next to Diddy through this period. So it's a fair question to ask. And again, JLo has been so silent on all this. It's shocking to me. To me, it was very telling when the Cassie video came out and she didn't at least throw her support to Cassie. She didn't have to even throw Sean under the bus at that point. I think she just needed to say what I saw was horrific. Again, no celebrity seems to want to come forward and just even condemn what they have seen. And I think it's incredibly telling. And now as we're learning more of these things, if these stories are true, now we're starting to maybe understand why, because they were at this party. And again, I want to reiterate, even if the truth of the matter is, look, we need proof. It's often a he said, she said, and that can be problematic in the court of law to the jury. But the truth is, like you said, Kim, if the gas station attendant, if the father, or even anybody at the party can confirm that this girl was there at an after party, the VMAs, and she was 13, to me, that's still like, what the heck?
I remember a video we watched about Puffy where they was talking about Mary J. Mary J., whether y'all like it or not, is coming out about her. Yes, she was a victim. Did she turn into a victimizer her goddamn self? That didn't Mary have to do some shit as her rite of passage? Somebody, a girl or someone saying that Mary S.A.'d them, and Mary was talking about, it was on tape, something about this was her rite of passage. So I could see, could be Mary in there, could be Jay-Z. Because these clowns wasn't that big in 2000. Jay was just getting up there like that, but they all still wanted to be P. Diddy in 2000. That's for real.
Our 13-year-olds doing at the party. And we learned Usher did this. He admitted it at his flavor camp. So I don't mean to seem like I'm against this being a possibility. I'm always trying to be more careful. I think we have to be as an outlet. And even if there are people that can place this girl at the party at that age, well, that's going to be an immensely bad look, and it's going to make me believe her even more. Why are you letting these type of people into this party is the main question. And JLo, you were at the party. You were dating him at the time. It's hard to just not assume that there wasn't a little bit more involvement. So again, I need to hear from her. She needs to speak up at some point, because right now the silence is deafening.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, we can make our assumptions about where she was that night, and we know that she was dating Diddy at the time. There's lots of questions. But again, that's part of why we're going to do some more digging. We're going to go through each of these lawsuits tomorrow in our live, after we've had the time to be able to look at timelines and dates and other stuff that could be going
And I
on.
can say, I'll be live today in DC. Pop Culture Crisis was nice enough to send me down. I'll be there live, I think around 3 p.m. Eastern. But we'll put a community post up and I'll share it on the socials. So hopefully you guys can join me. We will be talking about Diddy.
That could be Jamie Foxx too. You know, I don't know if Kevin Hart was was he on the scene yet? Let's see. No. All right.
There was something in that other than baby oil. If I would give it a wild guess, it was, and like some of the people told me, it was probably that GHB.
Were Sean Combs' bottles of baby oil potentially laced with a date rape?
This nigga Puffy, so tight and cheap. If this nigga would have hit Gene Deal off for about $1 million a long time ago and paid Cassie, this nigga ass probably still be on top right now. Two motherfuckers his ass probably should have paid was Cassie and Gene Deal. Serious business. They destroyed
drug. Recent lawsuits against the disgraced rapper raise alarming questions about this disturbing possibility. And during the raids on his properties earlier this year, authorities reportedly seized over 1,000 bottles of baby oil, leaving many to wonder, why did he even have that many bottles in the first place? Well, we're going to explore these serious allegations and their implications for Sean Combs' legal future, all with former CIA and FBI agent Tracy Walder. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Jesse Weber. You guys, this is a law and crime legal alert. So recent studies have uncovered a link between Depo-Provera, aka the Depo shot, and an increased risk of brain tumors. There are lawsuits that are being filed against Pfizer.com/sidebar to answer less than 10 questions to prove that Combs directed, that he participated in these elaborate coerced sexual performances known as freak-offs, where he would allegedly force women to have sex with male sex workers, that he allegedly secretly recorded these sessions. Again, having all this baby oil was probably a key piece of evidence. And remember, the freak-offs are a key component of the sex trafficking and racketeering case. And if you remember, when it came to this specific piece of evidence, Combs' lawyer, Mark Agnifilo, did kind of give an explanation for this when he spoke to TMZ after the indictment. Reminder, this is before the gag order was imposed. And he said, quote, he has a big house. He buys in bulk. I think they have Costco's in every place where he has a home. Have you sat in the parking lot of a Costco and see what people walk out of there with? So he attempted to kind of shrug it off. But the thing about that is Costco apparently doesn't actually sell bulk packages of baby oil. Who knew, right? As a matter of fact, they reportedly don't even sell baby oil. At least that's what a Costco spokesperson confirmed to TMZ. And look, if you're curious, you can go ahead. You can search baby oil on Costco's website. They got diapers, they got wipes, they got milk. Apparently no baby oil. So that explanation didn't do a whole lot to curb speculation about all this. And now we have seen a series of new lawsuits that were just filed, including yesterday, that are raising more questions. All these new lawsuits are being filed by Tony Busby, this Texas attorney. And what's really disturbing about it, and we believe more coming down the pike, is that several of these are from people who claim they were minors when they were sexually assaulted by Sean Combs. And at least one says that they were drugged by Sean Combs. And what's even more shocking about this is there are actually other celebrities listed in these lawsuits that are being accused of participating. Though, to be clear, they're not identified by name, so we don't know who these people are. But I'll give you an example. In a lawsuit filed by one Jane Doe, she states that she was 13 in 2000 when she was invited by a limo driver to attend the MTV Video Music Awards after party that was thrown by Combs in New York. And after consuming a beverage, her complaint says that she felt drowsy. She looked for a place to lie down. And that's when she says Combs, who was joined by an unnamed male celebrity and an unnamed female celebrity, came into the bedroom where she was resting. And she says that this unnamed male celebrity sexually assaulted her. Combs, this unnamed female celebrity, watched, and then Combs proceeded to rape her as the other two celebrities watched. And by the way, when you talk about all these lawsuits, in the intro of all of these complaints, you can find shocking claims about the baby oil. The claim reads, quote, Combs particularly fancied the use of the popular date rape drug rohypnol, or GHB, to commit heinous non-consensual acts of sexual violence and rape against countless victims. And it goes on further to say, there are also allegations of Combs dousing victims in lotions or similar body oils, also laced with GHB, so that the drug would be absorbed through the victim's skin and make it easier to assault him or her. Now, it's important to know that this complaint uses these terms interchangeably, rohypnol and GHB. However, they're actually two separate drugs that fall into the category of club drugs or date rape drugs. And we've been telling you about Tony Busby, how he brought all these new lawsuits, including from last week. And they're all claiming, these people, that they were sexually assaulted by Combs between 1995, now 2022. These complaints address the alleged drugging in baby oil as well. Now, you also have one other woman who came forward in July. She sued Combs for sexual assault, and her attorney, Ariel Mitchell-Kidd, told News Nation that Combs had squirted some kind of lubricant or oil onto her client, which she said made her become limp. Mitchell-Kidd said, quote, she felt that whatever the liquid was being squirted on her had something in it which essentially debilitated her and her faculties. Now, it's important to note that the accuser didn't mention baby oil in her official complaint, but baby oil did come up in the November 2023 lawsuit of Cassandra Ventura, Combs' ex-girlfriend. That lawsuit started everything. You can see there that on your screen where she alleged Mr. Combs' assistants would help to set up the FOs, including by setting up the hotel suites with baby oil and Astroglide. Astroglide is a type of lubricant. She also said further down, during the FOs, Combs would instruct Miss Ventura to pour excessive amounts of oil over herself. But in that lawsuit, didn't necessarily say that those oils were laced with drugs. But then you have Combs' former bodyguard, Gene Deal, who we showed you right at the top of the show. He's been very vocal talking about Combs, where he revealed the potential for the oil to have been laced with GHB. According to the DA's official website, GHB is a Schedule I controlled substance. It's produced illegally in laboratories. It became popular in the 90s for its powerful euphoric effects, but it also increases libido, suggestibility, passivity, even can cause amnesia. So I want to talk a little bit more about these very, very shocking allegations of drugs and baby oil. And to do that, I want to bring in special guest, former FBI and CIA agent Tracy Walder, to talk more about this. Tracy's also a News Nation contributor. And Tracy, thank you so much for coming on. When it was first announced that the feds had seized all of this baby oil, one of the more shocking allegations in the indictment, what was the first thing that came to your mind?
Well, thanks for having me, Jesse. The first thing that came to my mind was that they were taking it to test it, clearly. If they saw something in that large of a quantity, it's one thing to find maybe one bottle. I'm not certain that that would have been seized, obviously, in that search that they served on both of his homes. But when they saw it in that large of a quantity, I think that they probably suspected that it was being used for more than just a lubricant. And that has probably since been tested. That's my best guess.
Let's talk about that, because if it's suspected that this oil is laced with very powerful drugs, or maybe, by the way, maybe it's not even baby oil at all, are there ways to test it? What are the ways to test what's in there?
Well, first you have to think about collecting it, right? And so my best guess, again, I wasn't inside the houses when these raids took place. However, I have been in homes where we are seizing things that could possibly have drugs in them. My guess is that they probably wore, obviously, the biohazard suits, biohazard gloves, those kinds of things, the same things I wore when I went to trash cans and things like that, simply because you don't want that having contact with your skin as well. Just like it absorbed into other people, it can absorb into you. So the first thing they had to do was, obviously, from a forensic perspective, be very careful as to how they were collecting it. And then next, they would probably send it to the FBI or DHS. I don't know who took custody of it. Again, I'd have to look at a chain of custody form, but to one of their labs. And that testing actually could be done very, very quickly. There's actually test strips that you can do in field to test things for GHB or the roofie drug.
And when you think of somebody, someone's given a date rape drug in their drink, that's one thing. You think of it being ingested, putting it in baby oil, having it absorbed through the skin, Have you ever seen anything like that? And that methodology, if that's true, if these allegations are true, what does it tell you?
So that's an interesting question. And the analogy I'm going to make, I don't know what people will think about it. So I actually have seen something like that before. And where I saw it, to be completely transparent, was with terrorist groups using it. They
Mm.
were trying to obtain control over I can't say the name, but a very popular lotion and oil distributor to place a toxin within it to then have that redistributed out into the American population, and that absorbs through the skin. My biggest concern is when something like that happens, absorbing through the skin, that's your body's largest organ. And you're absorbing it in a larger quantity than you are probably ingesting it. I am shocked that no one died, to be honest with you, as a result of this exposure, because yes, it is known as the state rape drug, but it can also be lethal in massive quantities. And this is just very, very disturbing. I'll be surprised if I will not be surprised, excuse me, if they start adding assault charges as well, if that's what's in this baby oil.
Is it tough to add it? I mean, I don't know if that's a elementary question, but to add that mixture to baby oil, what goes through that? Do you need a laboratory to do it?
Not at all. You might need a laboratory depending on where you're obtaining the GHB or the roofie drug from. It can actually be made in a home laboratory. That's what's difficult, right, about tracking this. But obviously, you can obtain it as well because it is used for medicinal purposes. It affects, the nervous system, and so there are legitimate reasons, right, that people would use this. And so it really just depends on how it was obtained. How it being added into the baby oil is very easy and no different than adding it into someone's cocktail at a party.
See, that's the thing. Part of it, what I was looking at it is, if someone feels drugged after having a drink, we know so many examples before you can make an argument that they were drugged. There's a part of this where the first thing I thought is it's a way to avoid detection, right? So there might be
Mhm.
signs about what happens to the person, but who would think that it was the baby oil that might have been contaminated?
I actually completely agree with you. Obviously, someone like myself who has actually investigated this when I worked Al Qaeda, I might think that it had been absorbed through the skin. But I think people that maybe didn't have that kind of experience, and I don't mean that in a bad way,
You
wouldn't the general population wouldn't necessarily assume, right, that had been added into the baby oil. And you're absolutely right. Kind of in the late 90s, right, early 2000s was when a lot of education was coming out about liquid ecstasy, which is another name for all of this, and people, guarding their drinks, making sure your drink doesn't leave your sight. There was a lot of education coming out through the media, about really being careful in terms of your drink. And so I think a lot of people may have gone to these freak offs and chosen not to drink at them for that very reason and were drugged another way.
And at very high doses, this can cause seizures, unconsciousness, slowed heart rate, greatly slowed breathing, lower body temperature, vomiting, nausea, coma, death, like you said. That's my understanding about what the effects of. But this is clearly nothing anybody wants to touch. But I do want to focus on the idea of amnesia, right? Because if this stuff can really cause memory loss while under the influence, maybe that explains why many of these alleged victims are coming forward, years after the fact. Maybe they're going to have trouble remembering what happened to them. That could actually work for the defense's favor, right? If you're questioning the credibility of these witnesses and saying, how can you accurately recall what happened to you if you really were under the influence of these drugs? But talk to me about that aspect, the amnesia aspect, Tracy.
Right. So it's not actually a question of can it cause amnesia. It does cause amnesia. We have seen it, unfortunately, in cases. I agree with you that I do think the defense would use that to their advantage, which is obviously disturbing and gross, to be completely honest with you. I do think that it could explain why some of the victims did wait a while. But I think we have to compound that with the fact that, I mean, look at how Cassie Ventura was treated initially before the video came out. She was not treated well, which was horrific, right? People didn't believe her and were calling her all kinds of very, really disturbing names. And I think that a lot of these individuals were very, very scared, coupled with the potential holes in their memories, I think really was a recipe for them really not feeling comfortable and coming forward. And now a situation has been laid out. First of all, their accuser is currently behind bars, so that is an extra sense of safety for them. But also, it seems to be more widely accepted that we believe them. And I think that's giving people the confidence to come forward.
Talk to me about what you think the defense is going to be with that, right? Because there's one thing to say on the first week of his client being arrested that I shopped some bulk at Costco, and maybe that wasn't the most well thought out response. But obviously there's going to be a gag order imposed, so he's not going to be able to clarify a lot of these remarks. But I think the other way of saying it is they might cop up to it and say, listen, yeah, he did have 1,000 bottles of baby oil. He was engaged in freak offs. We're not saying they were laced with any kind of drugs, but yeah, these were consensual parties. These were consensual events. Of course, we had the baby oil. That's what it was about. Because I don't know how you explain away having so much of that product.
I agree with you, and I think he's actually already discussed that prior to the gag order. I do recall, and I could be incorrect, but I do recall reading that his attorney was sort of making the case that everyone was there on a consensual basis.
Yep.
I recall that, and so I think now this actually potentially bodes well for the prosecution, because what the prosecution can now say, if these test positive for Rohypnol or for GHB, they can say that no, this was not consensual. You drugged these individuals. You can explain away the baby oil bought in bulk. And I agree. I'm very surprised that an attorney for someone of Diddy's stature would even bring up Costco, to be completely honest with you. I was very surprised by that, because it's not a good excuse and it's very easy to disprove that. But I think he's going to have a really hard time now using that everyone was there under their own free will sort of defense, because the feeling that I got from him was that they were going to acknowledge that these occurred, but everyone was there consensually.
Look, to be clear, it's another disturbing allegation in an already disturbing case. Obviously, we know these are just several of the lawsuits that Tony Busby has planned to file. We do not know the other people, the other allegations, the other celebrities that may or may not be named. We do not know the other instances of baby oil that may or may not be used. But this is just another kind of interesting caveat with this. And I don't know. It's not something that I initially thought about when this was in the indictment. And by the way, Tracy, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't remember seeing in the indictment anything about laced baby oil, but you're saying this now could be in like a superseding indictment where they go back to the grand jury, they bring back further charges, more information. There's a possibility we could see something about this, right?
In my opinion, I think so. Obviously, you are correct. There's nothing I read in that initial indictment that indicated that. But I guess the question then, in my opinion, would be why bring it up at all if it's not going to play a role at a later time? Because the reality is you could really, I guess, from a defense perspective, explain away all of that baby oil. But my guess is investigators put it in there because it may be used at a different time. And again, you know this, in an indictment, you don't have to put all of the evidence in there
That's
to
right.
gain the indictment. And so we don't know exactly what they have.
Yep, we shall see. Tracy Walder, thank you so much for coming on. Great seeing you. Appreciate it as always.
Thank you, Jesse.
All right. When it comes to Sean Combs' bail and pretrial detention, we're going to break down some new filings in this case. Could Sean Combs be set free? Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Jesse Weber. Okay, so we have some new developments regarding the Sean Combs case, and it concerns bail, his pretrial release. And as we know, Combs currently sits locked up in the Metropolitan Detention Center out in Brooklyn as he awaits trial on federal sex crimes charges, racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking, transportation to engage in prostitution. And he is sitting there because he was denied bail twice. This is despite offering a bail package of $50 million, home confinement, a security team to monitor him essentially 24/7, visitor logs provided to the court, no telephone or internet access, limited visitors coming to that property. Now, the problem for Sean Combs is that the courts were persuaded by the prosecution's argument. The gravity of Combs' allegations, the weight of the evidence, the potential danger he is to society, the risk of flight, and the allegations that he had been improperly contacting witnesses. Now, Combs appealed the latest decision to deny him bail. He appealed it to a higher court in New York. It's called the Second Circuit Court of Appeals. Now, in Combs' bail motion, and we've talked about this on a previous sidebar, so I'm going to get to this before I get into the new stuff, but they wrote, this case does involve extreme and unusual circumstances, but none that typically foreclose bail or warrant forcing Sean Combs to defend himself from a prison cell. What is extreme and unusual about this case is that Mr. Combs was detained immediately after he was charged. He goes on to say, the sensationalism surrounding his arrest has distorted the bail analysis. Mr. Combs was not released pending trial, even though he offered to comply with restrictive conditions that would have prevented any conceivable risk of flight or danger. Now, in this motion, Combs denies the government's accusations of obstruction. His attorneys concede that, yes, he spoke with people about the civil lawsuits that he was facing. Remember, he's been hit with a number of lawsuits, people claiming they were abused by him. But he says he wasn't aware that the Southern District of New York was investigating him. And he claims once he realized he was being investigated, the appeal motion says he made sure not to contact these people anymore. The motion reads, although the government vaguely described contacts with 2 grand jury witnesses, it proffered no evidence of any threats or intimidation. The government could only state that there were 14 total contacts between Mr. Combs and 1 witness and another witness who was contacted multiple times. Defense counsel explained these contacts involved no obstruction or witness tampering. For example, 1 witness contacted Mr. Combs, not the other way around. She reached out to Mr. Combs and told him, I'm a grand jury witness. After Mr. Combs informed defense counsel, he was instructed not to contact the witness anymore and didn't. So in other words, Sean Combs' defense counsel is arguing that the prosecution didn't meet its burden to hold him until trial. By the way, I got to say, we plan to continue to follow all aspects of this Sean Combs saga as it progresses. And because of the support that we get from our incredible sponsors, that helps us to keep on doing this. So I want to call out one right now for you, our amazing partner, Morgan & Morgan. This is America's largest injury law firm. Look, here's the deal. If you're injured, you got to know what your legal rights are and whether you can be compensated. And Morgan has a dedicated team of over 1,000 attorneys, case specialists, paralegals, investigators. They have an incredible track record of multi-million-dollar verdicts and settlements. I'll give you recent examples: $6.8 million in New York, $12 million in Florida, $26 million in Philadelphia. All of these, mind you, considerably higher than the highest insurance offers in these cases. There's no upfront fee. The whole process can be done straight from your smartphone. So if you're injured, you can easily start a claim at forthepeople.com/LC sidebar. Okay, so what's the latest? Well, the prosecution responded to this. They are opposing this defense motion. And at the very beginning of their filing, they lay out the status of the case, right? The arrest, the indictment, what has been happening with bail. But they also re-emphasize the allegations and the charges against Sean Combs. So to set the stage, they say, as alleged, Combs and other members and associates of the racketeering enterprise, wielded the power and prestige of Combs' reputation in the entertainment industry to commit federal crimes, including racketeering, sex trafficking, and other offenses, including crimes of violence. From at least 2009 through 2024, Combs used force, threats of force, and coercion to cause female victims to engage in sexual activity, which included sex acts with male commercial sex workers that Combs referred to as freak-offs. Freak-offs, which sometimes lasted days, were elaborate sex performances that Combs directed, say he pleasured himself during, and often electronically recorded. Combs ensured that female victims participated in freak-offs through coercion and violence, including by supplying female victims with controlled substances, subjecting female victims to physical, emotional, and verbal abuse, controlling female victims' careers, livelihoods, housing, and threatening to disseminate recordings of freak-offs. And after highlighting how serious these charges are, the prosecutors then focused on what happened at the other bail hearings in front of 2 other judges. Now, specifically, when talking about the second bail hearing in front of District Court Judge Andrew Carter, One of the main pieces of evidence to demonstrate that Combs is a danger to society and shouldn't be released is the 2016 videotape that was published by CNN earlier this year of Combs appearing to beat his ex-girlfriend Cassandra Ventura in a hotel hallway. And prosecutors say that even though Combs tried to say, hey, look, this had nothing to do with a freak off, this was about a domestic spat, about infidelity, the government writes, based on multiple sources of evidence, the government proffered that immediately prior to Combs' assault of the victim, there was a male commercial sex worker in the hotel room with Combs and the victim who remained inside the hotel room during the assault. Makes me think that that person is probably going to testify at an upcoming trial. Maybe that person was caught on surveillance footage. It goes on to say the government then read text messages between Combs and the victim, which confirmed the victim's severe injuries. The government highlighted text messages sent by Combs himself immediately after the assault, suggesting that Combs feared a law enforcement response, including the following: call me, the cops are here, and yo, please call, I'm surrounded. The government emphasized that whatever the context, the undisputed conduct captured on video, punching, kicking, and dragging the victim, underscored Combs' dangerousness. And prosecutors double down on what happened in this 2016 video. They write, with respect to the March 2016 incident at the Intercontinental Hotel, Combs' counsel characterized the relationship between the victim and Combs as very loving and freak-offs as a sought-after special part of the relationship. Judge Carter responded, what does this have to do with him punching her, throwing a vase at her, kicking her? What's love got to do with that? Combs' counsel continued to argue that there was no sex trafficking, but Judge Carter pressed him to respond to the argument that Combs' violent conduct was relevant to Combs' dangerousness more generally. Combs' counsel conceded, I think it's relevant. I think it's relevant. I haven't said it wasn't relevant. I'm saying it's not part of the sex trafficking. Combs' counsel nonetheless urged Judge Carter that even if the court doesn't fully trust the package as a whole. So in other words, I think a way of looking at this is, even if it didn't have to do with sex trafficking or racketeering, if you were trying to present the argument that Sean Combs is violent and a danger, whatever reason was behind him essentially beating Cassandra Ventura, that's enough evidence. That's it in and of itself. That proves the point. And prosecutors also explained how Judge Carter was especially troubled by the allegations that Combs was reaching out to witnesses, including witnesses who received grand jury subpoenas, that he was engaging in witness tampering, that he was engaging in obstruction. And they say Judge Carter properly denied Combs' motion for bail, just as Judge Tarnofsky did before him. Combs cannot demonstrate that Judge Carter clearly erred when he found, after considering lengthy written submissions, reviewing a transcript of the bail hearing before Judge Tarnofsky, and presiding over extended oral argument, that the government had established by clear and convincing evidence that Combs posed a danger to the community and that no bail conditions could reasonably assure the safety of the community. So let me take a quick second to explain this. The Second Circuit Court of Appeals, in order to overrule Judge Carter's denial of bail, they would have to find that he clearly made a mistake here. And the tricky part about that is, A, by law, this appeals court has to defer to Carter's reasoning when making this ruling. And B, essentially, they would have to find that the government hasn't established by something we call clear and convincing evidence that Combs was a danger to the community or that he would threaten or injure or intimidate a witness. The government has the burden. Yes, the government has the burden, true. But clear and convincing evidence, that is a low standard under the law. It is a lower bar for the government to cross than, let's say, beyond a reasonable doubt. Basically, the government has to show that there is a high probability of this. And here, given these specific charges, prosecutors say by law, there is a presumption that he should be detained. There is a presumption that the defendant is a danger and can't be out on bail. But they also explain that the defendant has a limited burden of production to rebut that presumption. But they also write, even where a defendant produces sufficient evidence to rebut the statutory presumption of detention, the presumption doesn't disappear. Instead, it becomes a factor to be weighed and considered like all the others in deciding whether to release the defendant. And that's going to be important in a minute. But first, federal prosecutors argue that Judge Carter's finding that Sean Combs is a danger, it was supported by clear and convincing evidence. They say Combs is ignoring the charges he faces and the strength of the evidence. They write, quote, as alleged since at least 2008, Combs has engaged in serious acts of violence, including forcing and coercing women to participate in sex acts with commercial sex workers by using physical force, financial pressure, emotional abuse, narcotics. They continue, although Combs claims on appeal, as he did below, that the freak-offs involved adults voluntarily engaging in consensual sex, the grand jury found probable cause otherwise, and the district court properly credited the allegations in the indictment and the government's detailed evidentiary proffers. Moreover, undisputed video evidence corroborated that Combs used brutal violence against his victims, including by hitting, punching, kicking, and dragging them. And more specifically, when it came to that 2016 video, they write, even if the evidence did not support the conclusion that Combs' assault at the Intercontinental Hotel was related to sex trafficking, which it did, Combs' counsel conceded that Combs' violent conduct against women was nonetheless relevant to his dangerousness. Bottom line here, whether he struck Ventura because of sex trafficking or a domestic dispute, the argument is he's still violent. He's still dangerous. That's all that matters. Now, when it comes to obstruction, the government writes, in arguing that evidence of obstruction was thin and that the government provided no basis to believe that Combs tampered with witnesses, Combs primarily quibbles with the strength of the government's evidence that Combs made inappropriate contact with government witnesses, but Combs ignores altogether the serious and substantial allegations of obstruction, bribery, and witness tampering charged in the indictment as part of Combs' pattern of racketeering activity that amply supported Judge Carter's determination. So sort of using their allegations in the indictment to support the claim that he was reaching out to witnesses. Now, the government continues, the facts, including
Revolutionary salute to our brother jail sends for the donation to the war chest. Revolution is a way of life. Say, is that pimping and pandering? That absolutely might be. Family salute.
Combs' text messages that the cops are there, supported the inference that Combs wanted to destroy the hotel surveillance video to avoid prosecution for a vicious assault. And while Combs argues that witness contacts were minimally relevant or entirely innocuous because they concerned civil suits, the suits alleged years of physical and sexual abuse, including sex trafficking, allegations that Combs was plainly aware could subject him to criminal prosecution and investigation. Moreover, as the government made clear, Combs continued to contact witnesses, including witnesses who have received grand jury subpoenas into the summer of 2024, when he undoubtedly knew about the government's criminal investigation. Now, from there, the prosecution argues that Judge Carter didn't make a clear error or mistake when he rejected Combs' proposed bail package that I described earlier. Why? Well, they argue the government established that Combs used methodical and sophisticated means to silence and intimidate witnesses throughout the racketeering conspiracy and during the government's investigation. Combs often used loyal intermediaries to accomplish his objectives and wielded violence and blackmail, as well as his substantial wealth and influence relative to his victims and employees. To achieve compliance, Judge Carter therefore rightly concluded that the proposed conditions were inadequate because they would still permit Combs to obstruct justice and intimidate witnesses through employees and other individuals and even coded messages. Combs baldly asserts that there was not a shred of evidence that Combs used coded messages. As only one example, however, Combs tried to ensure a victim's silence about her sexual trauma by telling her that he needed her and that if she needed Combs too, she ain't got worry about nothing else, alluding to a promise of financial security in exchange for loyalty. Now, while Combs asserts that this incident did not involve an intermediary, Combs then texted an employee to ensure that his financial advisor kept paying the victim's rent. The evidence therefore supported the conclusion that even if confined to his home, Combs has the means and the influence to evade even seemingly restrictive bail conditions. Now, prosecutors, they also focus on a more policy reason too. Should we give Sean Combs, someone who is so wealthy and has the means to provide such an attractive bail package, the opportunity to stay out of detention because he can? A defendant who's facing such serious charges? They write, the district court rightly rejected Combs' effort to pay his way out of detention when the record established that no set of conditions can ensure the safety of the community. This court has expressly held that the Bail Reform Act does not permit a two-tiered bail system in which defendants of lesser means are detained pending trial, while wealthy defendants are released to self-funded private jails. That's an interesting argument there. And finally, Prosecutors respond to the allegation that
It's already
Judge Carter essentially summarily decided Combs was a danger and was engaging in obstruction without holding the government's feet to the fire, that they didn't properly prove he was doing the things that they were alleging to justify pretrial detention. In other words, government, where's your evidence? Well, the government responds.
Pretending like, oh, because it's P. Diddy, we don't want him getting special treatment. Listen, I don't know if y'all ever heard of Robert Durst. Robert Durst, look him up in Galveston. He used to dress. He's a rich billionaire. His people was on Wall Street. He was a rich billionaire. He used to dress as a tranny. Well, he killed his neighbor. And that's when we found out it wasn't illegal to chop a body up. It's not illegal to do that. Y'all know that? Chop the man's body up. But anyway, Robert Durst was on trial in Galveston County. Robert Durst was on the 3rd floor. I also was on the 3rd floor. It was a guard, a sergeant there. He used to go across. We didn't have no coffee. I sent him across over there. He'd get coffee and everything from me for Robert Durst. But whatever. The moral of the story is, we used to walk by Robert Durst's cell on our way because we was like the Vikings up here. So I had to throw Durst up there too. But he had his own cell. Well, on our way to go to the gym or something, we walked past Durst's cell. Durst had free world everything. Durst had a free world mattress, free world TV, and free world mean it came all from outside of jail, for y'all who don't know. He had free world food. He didn't get the same commissary as us. You know, everything was from the free world. It was crazy. And I'm asking the guards, why are y'all giving that man that? They were scared to get sued by Robert Durst's family for, for anything. So he was just giving Durst anything he wanted. Anyway, he wound up beating that case. Susan Chris was the judge. They say she took a bribe. She wound up losing her job or whatever. But they treat these people differently, whether they're in jail or not. If you got power and money in America, you got power and money. So Puffy gonna try to throw his money around. Other billionaires do the same thing.
Responded, quote, given the thorough proceedings below, this court should swiftly reject Combs' argument that Judge Carter committed legal error by failing to make factual findings or to weigh required factors. While the Bail Reform Act includes a provision requiring written findings of fact and a written statement of the reasons for the detention, this court has explained that whereas here, the court's findings and reasons for issuing a detention order are clearly set out in the written transcript of the hearing, the requirement of a writing is satisfied. At the end of the hearing, Judge Carter denied bail only after reiterating, I've heard from the parties and I've reviewed everything, which included written submissions from the parties and the transcript of Judge Tarnofsky's bail hearing. As memorialized in the transcript, Judge Carter then specifically found that Combs posed a danger to the community and a risk of obstruction based on the evidence put before him. This is therefore not a case where the detention order contained only implicit findings or no finding whatsoever. So as the government in this filing is asking the Second Circuit to affirm Judge Carter's denial of bail, and for the reasons that I laid out, it seems quite likely they will do so because given the legal standard and given the evidence that has been presented, something else has happened which we need to talk about. Combs' team has now filed another motion asking the Second Circuit Court of Appeals to not do anything, to suspend his appeal of the bail decision. Don't do anything. Don't make a decision on it. It's called holding the appeal in abeyance. Hold it in abeyance until Combs' team has the opportunity to now argue the issue of bail in front of the new judge overseeing Combs' criminal case. This is the third judge in the case. This is Judge Arun Subramanian from the Southern District of New York. We talked about him on an earlier sidebar because he had a hearing last week. But this is really interesting. They're asking now the Second Circuit, don't do anything. I know you heard our arguments. I know you heard the prosecutions. Don't do anything yet. Wait until we have an opportunity to now present this issue to the judge overseeing the criminal case. Now, I know what you might be saying. I don't get it. Combs was denied bail twice by two different judges. He appealed this to a higher court in New York. Why is he asking them to wait on ruling on this? Why go to Judge Subramanian? Well, this is where it gets interesting. So Combs' team says that during that hearing that I mentioned with Judge Subramanian last week, and we covered it on a previous sidebar where they talked about the evidence, they talked about the trial date. Well, apparently the defense says that during that hearing, Subramanian remarked, if the defense has any bail application that they would like to raise, then the court will certainly hear it. Now, in their motion, and this part is key, Combs' lawyers say because certain relevant new information has come to light since the detention order, Mr. Combs intends to file a renewed motion for pretrial release on conditions with an updated proposed bail package in the district court. Now, to be clear, not sure what they mean by new information. Is this something about Combs' conditions in the MDC? Could it be evidence that he did not engage in improperly reaching out to witnesses and victims? When they say new evidence, is it really new evidence, or is it something that they've already argued to the Court of Appeals? Not entirely clear. But they say this renewed request is based on, quote, changed circumstances. So that's really interesting. And what would a new package look like, a new bail package? Now, of course, if the district court approves bail for Sean Combs, his attorneys have indicated they will drop this appeal in the Southern Circuit. So we will wait to see what happens. There's a lot of moving parts. And of course, if Judge Subramanian has the opportunity to now review this bail motion, will he look at it differently than Judge Tarnofsky, than Judge Carter? Will Sean Combs be released? We'll see, with a little bit of unknowns about what the defense will present. But as we mentioned, the prosecution makes some very, very solid arguments. But for right now, that's all we have.
What's going on, y'all? What it is. So let's go ahead and slide on these topics. And the first thing I want to discuss is this actual video that's floating around social media that shows Diddy telling his party goers that within 15 minutes that all kids need to be removed. He goes on to say that his kids are already downstairs. And basically, he's implying that the party is about to be turned upside down and some freaky issues about to take place. Now, the first questions that come to my mind is, why were these children there in the first place? It's not like they were celebrating a child's birthday there. And so you're dealing with adults that's partying and doing all sorts of drugs, and you got kids in the midst of the party. And it wasn't like it was a sleepover for the children. So why were they there? And also, all of these celebrities that were in attendance at this Diddy party have the financial means to hire a nanny to take care of their children for the evening. And so I posed the question, were all of the kids at this Diddy party, were they actually the children of all of the celebrities that were in attendance? Because we know that Hollywood is sick and demented, and they could have been ushered in to serve a different purpose, if you know what I mean. One thing that comes to mind in particular is that maybe some of the kids were human magic, and I'm paraphrasing there. But at the end of the day, I will say this, it could have been an honest thing where Diddy told the parents of these children that were there, hey, bring your kids to play with my kids and they can just all be kids. How about it's not? I see Game for his daughter's 16th birthday. He sexualized her and was talking about they was going to play with Diddy's daughters. Diddy sexualized his daughters. I seen Drake hanging with Diddy's daughters. They was very sexualized. So they might be them Hollywood Will Smith, what he did to his son. These contracts might say you not only you getting in, but your kids as well.
I think I made my point clear. So if welfare come in here in 30 minutes, that's on y'all. My kid is downstairs. 15 minutes, the kids have to go. Thank you very much.
Listen, I don't know about y'all, but I just get an eerie feeling looking at that clip. I just feel so uncomfortable because knowing the things that I know that goes down in Hollywood and the things that we've all been privy to from other people talking about the scandalous things that go down there, it just shows to me that some of these kids are so unprotected because anything could go on there. And even though it appears that Diddy is doing the right thing, first and foremost, like I said, I don't think that the kids should have been there anyway, but it appears that Diddy is doing the right thing before the adults start doing what they really want to do. But I don't know how many of those kids were told, hey, you don't have to leave. Come with me. You know what I'm saying? So I just don't like it. I just don't rock with this at all. I think that it's also another trap. You go send your kids downstairs where his over-sexualized kids is at with the same techniques and tactics that he using with the same cameras. Time and a place for everything.
You shouldn't have any kids in the atmosphere where there are adult parties going on, where they're drinking, where they're smoking, where they're doing drugs. I just don't find that to be amusing at all, and it should be prohibited. And again, even though this could have been innocent, you're still setting the stage for a youngin' to be potentially essayed. But anyway, I want to move along, and I want to talk about something that I just became privy to, and I had no idea about this, y'all. Drop down in the comments and let me know if you knew, but I was contacted by someone that was close to this particular person, and I was just shocked to hear the news. So I was contacted, and I'm not going to mention this person's name because they asked not to be mentioned, but I was contacted by someone that was very close to Uncle Ron. And so me and this person was having a conversation back and forth, and he delivered the heartbreaking news that Uncle Ron passed away last month. And it's really, really sad. I feel so sorry for Uncle Ron that he lost his life. I pray for his wife and his family. Now, even though it was so unfortunate that Uncle Ron passed away, I was told by this person that Uncle Ron was going to play a significant role in the Diddy trial next year. He was actually a key witness. Apparently, Uncle Ron was sitting on a lot of information that he didn't disclose to the public. And remember, guys, he was mainly on TikTok. He did have an Instagram, but I would say that he made more of a dynamic impact on TikTok by exposing celebrities. Now, another thing that I was told by this person, right, and it really blew my mind, but not really, because I knew that this could be a possibility. But I was told by this person that the reason why Diddy got arrested early, because he was going to get arrested anyway on that Tuesday or Wednesday of the week he got arrested, was based upon the fact that Diddy was questioned about Kim Porter. They're saying that Diddy got nervous about the questioning and things of that nature. He reached out to a couple of people. Those individuals reached back out to the FBI, and they saw that Diddy could be a potential flight risk. And so they went ahead and scooped him up with the quickness at that hotel in New York City. Now, I am going to say that this is all alleged information. For those of you who follow me tight, you know I always come through with emails and text messages, but this particular person was old school, and they wanted to have a phone conversation. And as a matter of fact, we FaceTime, but I do have all of that information documented and saved in a different format, just in case I have to defend myself in the court of law. Now, just to refresh y'all's memory in regards to who Uncle Ron was, he basically was a bodyguard for a plethora of celebrities, including Jay-Z, Beyonce, and Diddy, and so many more. And what's interesting about the conversation that I had with this particular person is that they wouldn't go into detail about how Uncle Ron passed away. Now, I did find that particularly odd and strange, but I do respect the privacy of Uncle Ron's family. Maybe they just didn't want that information out. I did see something where people said that he passed away from cancer, but I haven't been able to confirm that, although I've seen him in and out of the hospital over the past year. I just didn't know that he was suffering from a serious ailment like cancer, right? Because he came on camera, he was so uplifting and so happy all the time. But anyway, I want to talk about the information that I just conveyed to you as it pertains to Kim Porter. Let's just say that information is true. We already know that Pac's family has opened a reinvestigation into Pac's passing. And so it just makes me pose the question, is that the reason why Diddy hired a lawyer in Tony Rico who specializes in the deletion penalty? And I'm paraphrasing there because Tony Rico has a successful track record in the deletion penalty realm. And so it just makes me pose that question, because why would you hire somebody that specializes in the deletion penalty if you haven't done anything egregious to that magnitude where you are potentially responsible for having people deleted on your watch? Now, another thing that I want to share with you guys that was conveyed to me by this particular person is that they're saying that there's another bodyguard, as a matter of fact, a former bodyguard of Diddy's, that's now being investigated. So I know the person's name, but again, I was told not to say anything because it could disrupt the investigation. But listen, it's just a whole lot of things that's coming down the pike. And what I want to do right now is play you guys just a few clips of Uncle Ron exposing the industry and things like that. And I'm going to leave you guys with that. And I want you guys to feel free to drop down in the comments and let me know what you think about everything that was discussed within this video. Don't forget to like, comment, share. And if you're new here, consider subbing to the channel. I'll get with you guys later. Peace.
I was offered $30,000 to perform a hit on Biggie Smalls. March 1st of 1997, I was approached by Diddy to perform a hit on one of his artists. Finding out that he wanted all the rights to all his catalogs. I turned him down because I also found out that very night that Biggie had plans of leaving Bad Boy. Biggie should have never been in California to promote an album with a broken fibula bone, who can barely walk, to go to another studio when Diddy has his own studio in New York. Diddy is pure evil. He has a very nasty disposition. He treats everybody like crap. Every single employee he's ever had, he and his mother have looked down on them, belittled them, talked to them like they were the lowest scum on the earth, so he could always have his way. Amar, Muhammad, and Suge Knight, or Amir, they took the blame for something that was already getting ready to be in motion. It just happened at an earlier time, because on the 9th, Biggie was taken out. And I'm so glad to this day that I refused to do that. So under investigations and working and cooperating with FBI, my story is being told. There's so much more that we're going to talk about with Diddy.
I just got news that a friend and fellow creator, Uncle Ron, has passed away. Uncle Ron was a bodyguard to many people, including Charlie Daniels, and he had a great Charlie Daniels story. Charlie went to play a small venue as a favor for a friend. Uncle Ron had never been to this place. It could only hold about 100 people, and the stage was wrapped with chicken wire. Never having seen something like this, Uncle Ron asked the owner what the chicken wire was all about. The owner said, well, when the crowd really likes a performance, they throw their beer bottles at the stage. Being a bodyguard, this obviously concerned Uncle Ron. So he got on the microphone before the concert started and said, I don't want any bottles thrown at the stage because I don't want Charlie to get hurt. And he told the crowd that if they didn't throw anything for the whole concert, that he would buy everybody around at the end. So Charlie took the stage and played his heart out. He about sawed his fiddle in half and gave the performance of a lifetime. After the show was over, Charlie kind of looked upset. Uncle Ron asked him, what's wrong? Charlie said, man, I must not have been any good. He said, I played my heart out, but they never threw the first beer bottle. Uncle Ron, you and your stories will be missed dearly, my friend.
Live a fantastic day, each day of your life. Take care. Jay-Z and Puffy wanted Biggie. Bottom line. You don't have to believe me, believe the facts. Here's a man that wanted to leave Bad Boy. He wanted to do his own thing. He mentioned several times how he was tired of being used and abused, that he was bigger than Bad Boy itself. Somebody, and we ain't gonna call no more names, dangled a bogus contract in front of his face so he wouldn't leave the company. How I know I was there. Another thing, Jay-Z wanted him out of the industry, period, so he could take over and be the biggest hip-hop artist around. And I wonder who's the biggest hip-hop artist today. It's all business, folks. And unfortunately, you as a fan, most of you won't understand. But it was all about the business. And the two billionaires have done what they seeded to do.
Yeah, this is Uncle Ron. And a whole bunch of things are getting ready to take place very soon. Y'all didn't believe me then, but you believe me now. Not only that, but they're not the only one that's getting ready to take a fall. There's going to be a couple of other big names stirring up in this pot. And yeah, we've been talking. And some things are getting ready to happen. So keep your eyes and ears open. Know that Uncle Ron told you so. Believe me when I tell you, there's one other who's constantly gibber and jabbering about what they have seen, but they are going to be a part of the investigation too.
So this man goes by the name of Uncle Ron, and he had stated that he was Beyonce's former bodyguard. He also made huge allegations against Jay-Z, Beyonce, and P. Diddy. Take a look at what he had to say.
She's been on them for a long time, and you keep her that way. Y'all wish it what you wish it to stay on top. But there's one thing about me, bro. I can't be bought. This is Uncle Ron. Just like I know how you.
That Biggie had plans of leaving Bad Boy. Biggie should have never been in California to promote an album. With a broken fibula bone, who can barely walk. To go to another studio when Diddy has his own studio in New York. Diddy is pure evil. He has a very nasty disposition. He treats everybody like crap. Every single employee he's ever had, he and his mother have looked down on them, belittled them, talked to them like they were the lowest scum on the earth. So he could always have his way. Amar, Muhammad, and Suge Knight are Amir.
He continues to go on saying that Jay-Z and P. Diddy set Biggie Smalls up simply because Biggie was going to leave his contract and that Jay-Z wanted to be the best rapper out. And he also stated the reason he didn't say anything when it happened is because he had kids and his kids were younger and they were his first priority. He also stated that he gave all the receipts and documentation showing that they had something to do with his death to the FBI because he's involved in the case as well. Personally, I believe him because as a bodyguard, you are by the person 24/7. Their business is simply your business. Everything they know, you know as well. Not to mention he went too far in detail about how P. Diddy asked multiple bodyguards to put a hit on Biggie, the date and the time, and how they all turned it down. But it also makes a lot of sense on why a lot of stuff was going on the way it did. I'm running out of time, so part 2 coming soon.
It's DJ Envy from the Breakfast Club. You should have sat there and ate your own federal lawsuit. Y'all, what am I talking about? DJ Envy from the Breakfast Club is coming out and speaking of support of Diddy. I know what y'all saying. Tisa, per K. How can anybody support that man when all this mess is going on? You got A minors, you got at this point 141 lawsuits against this mug, and you are coming out and supporting Diddy. Y'all, we got to talk, but we also got to talk about why DJ Envy's doing this. Is it misplaced guilt? Has he been at Diddy parties? Or is this trying to cover up the fact that he knows his own business is going to be put out on Front Street, not for some freak off mess, but for defrauding hundreds, if not thousands, of poor, working class, Black and brown people, and I'm sure white people too. Let's just say everybody, because the Breakfast Club got a multicultural lease. I will say one thing, this shows a disturbing trend of, and remember when I said, watch this space for the people that come out and defend Diddy. This shows the moral aptitude. It shows what they're about. But before we get into that, let's listen to DJ Envy's dumb statement, because at least Charlemagne's capping and glazing for Diddy made a little sense, even though it was all BS. Listen to what he actually has to say, right? Let's get into this. Hold on, y'all.
So the fact that he has 1,000 bottles of baby oil and lube just means he just like to get shit popping, and there's nothing wrong. There's nothing illegal about that. I don't like how people convict him before hearing all of the evidence, right? I didn't like the fact that they didn't give him a bond. Diddy has 3 kids without a mom, right?
Mm-hmm.
Kim Porter passed away. So he has 2 twins that are 17 years old that don't have their dad right now and probably won't have their dad for the next 2 years until the trial is over. I feel like he should have got a bond and been able to fight this outside while he did. Harvey Weinstein had a bond. Bill Cosby had a bond. Now, the stories that I'm hearing, like I said, I don't know. Hopefully soon we'll see evidence, but I do think it's sad that somebody with such a great legacy is destroyed because of the things that he did. Now, if he did do the things that they said that he did, he should go to jail for a long time. Also, Diddy's a freaky nigga. Like, freaky.
Let me tell y'all something. DJ Envy, and again, I get what y'all saying. Don't look for the Breakfast Club for any type of legal advice. Don't look for the Breakfast Club for any type of moral advice. Don't look for the Breakfast Club to even understand law. But you can look to the Breakfast Club to push a narrative. You can look to the Breakfast Club to do skilled, savvy PR. You can look to the Breakfast Club to change what the culture is feeling, or at least try to. Now, there's a lot that DJ Envy said that was stupid. There's a lot that actually angered me. But let me just say this. I'm sick and tired of people saying, Diddy got 3 kids. Diddy should have thought about his kids before he was doing the stuff that everybody's accusing him of. You can't tell me that 41 people from across the country with different lawyers who have all vetted the claims and have proof that everybody's lying. Janice Combs wants us to feel sorry for her son. Did you care about any of the other sons? Everybody wants us to feel sorry for Diddy's kids. And please let me be clear. The kids are not responsible for their parents' sin. Diddy got 3 kids without a mom. Did you think about that when you was messing with somebody's 13-year-old? According to the court docs. Diddy got this, Diddy got that. Diddy know more than anyone he got kids. Diddy know more than anyone that he needed to stay out of jail. Diddy knew more than anyone, and Diddy didn't care. So why are we now, I get he has 3 kids, and the 3 kids shouldn't be punished. But him having 3 kids shouldn't mean that he gets off on everything. The federal government of the United States said Diddy is a danger. Diddy has proven that he will witness tamper. He has proven that he will use threats of violence, coercion, intimidation. Diddy has been allowed to reign for 20 years because everybody knew what he was doing, right? Or had a clue, or they knew there's something. Oh, he a freaky A thing. Did you really think all these things were going on? But he needs to stay outside. Let me tell you something when it comes to Diddy. One, I'm sick of him using his kids as an excuse. Listen, I don't care if you were the best father in the world. That don't got nothing to do with what you did to everybody else's sons and daughters, mothers, fathers, sisters, uncles, cousins, nieces, nephews, and whatever else you want to talk about. 2, he is being held in jail because the federal government has deemed him through quantifiable evidence to be a danger to society. Do you know why Bill Cosby got bail? Bill Cosby wasn't witness tampering. Bill Cosby wasn't trying to intimidate with bribery, coercion, and threats of violence and actual violence to witnesses. Harvey Weinstein, you know why he got bail, even though he was a colossal POS? Because he wasn't doing that either. The fact that DJ Envy's small little brain, who has his own lawsuit, and what's his lawsuit for? Conning people, conniving people. Maybe he's running the con right now, and I don't know. We're going to have to wait to see. But he wants us to withhold judgment on his case and want us to withhold judgment on Diddy's case. He ain't no Caesar like that, even though he was doing infomercials with Caesar saying, yeah, all my money's invested. But you want us to withhold judgment. And now, because of your guilt, in my opinion, your misplaced whatever, in my opinion, and your wish that people do that, you're now trying to extend grace to Diddy. The federal government said no. That man is in jail for a reason. And for him to sit there and act like it wasn't for a reason, and for him to sit there and be like, no, I don't know what happened. I don't know what the charges are. If you don't know what the MF and charges are, how are you sitting there leading the thing for him to be let out? I don't know what's going on. I haven't read anything, but I believe you need to sit down and be quiet. And you know what the sick thing is? I think that they're scared for Diddy because if Diddy goes down, that's the way the whole industry was run. That's the way they were all allowed to prey on the bodies of men and women, using them as party favors. That's what I believe. And that's what I believe why they really want it quiet. But if you don't believe me, let's listen to Charlamagne and DJ Envy in their own words, laughing and kikiing that everybody knew the mess that happened at Diddy's parties, to the point of they didn't want to be associated. Nick Cannon came on and said he was in there freaking wilding, doing all the stuff. And Charlamagne and DJ Envy were careful to be like, yo, we wasn't there. We wasn't there. You knew something was going on. You knew that it was something so wild, you didn't want to be associated with it. And here you are a few years later, giving us, again, The Breakfast Club is what it is. It's senseless, mindless entertainment, but let us not be dissuaded or confused with the fact that it's also skillful PR to push narratives. And baby, as much as they might be funny, as much as they might make you laugh and this and that, we're not pushing that narrative. No. DJ MB, shut up. Keep your opinion to yourself. You got your own case to worry about. Just hope you don't show up in any of those Diddy tapes. Anyway, y'all, here goes the interview where they're pretty much admitting that they know that ungodly things happen at Diddy's party, but now they're saying they think this man who was declared a danger to the public by the federal government should be let go because he got a legacy of making a few hits and bops and robbing his artists. Y'all, a lot of people in the music industry ain't seeing heaven, but they do know how to protect their own. Listen to this and then let me know what you think in the comments. All right, let's go.
Only two people in this room right now have been to Diddy parties. You ain't never been to a Diddy party. It's not me. It's not Charlamagne. So no, okay. What's classified as a Diddy party? Because you definitely been to some stuff that a bad boy event. Nope, I never been to a Diddy party.
Y'all ain't never been to one of Puffy's parties.
Most Diddy parties are usually during holidays. It's like Labor Day, Memorial Day. So when he would have a DJ in the city and all that.
Y'all don't live in LA too, because in LA he was doing them like every week. But I don't know about the crazy stuff. It was just like
I've even been at one when I was a kid, like 16, 17, standing outside.
Nick.
Yeah,
This one. Come on.
Yeah, I live my truth. I remember standing outside, trying to get into a puff party out here in New York. Like everybody was up. Like how the One More Chance video looked. That was real stuff out here. Like people standing at the door who can get in and stuff. Like that's bad boy parties was official in New York in the late 90s. So hey, whatever. Y'all talking. I'm not gonna be able to get quiet.
I know what you're saying. I've been in LA.
Everybody gets scared to talk because they probably got something to hide. I ain't got nothing to hide.
I don't have nothing to hide.
I was in there Harlem shaking, doing all that stuff, but it wasn't. Come on, whatever.
Harlem
That's like
shaking
people
Nick in
say
the 90s.
pause and all of that stuff. What you hiding? Why you always thinking like that?
Harlem Shake Nick in the 90s is crazy. Man. All right.
You got time. Don't get nervous, Lauren. It's okay.
I'm not nervous. I'm trying.
Your Nick made her think it's not like damn. How many Diddy parties you been to, Lauren?
I've been to a couple of them, but I've never been to the crazy stuff. I told y'all that I have nothing to hide.
I think it's unfair that we are classifying a good party with a freak off.
I just think it's hilarious.
Who was drinking Brown Dot Ciroc? Let us know.
Hey, what's up, y'all? How y'all doing today? Well, if your name is Meek Mills, you have triggered everybody saying that there's a silent war going on against Jay-Z and Beyonce, y'all. We need to talk about this. We also need to talk about the way Jason Lee is playing a role into that. On top of that, we got to talk about how come nobody's talking about the elephant in the room. Why is no one that is like this with Diddy coming out, speaking out, or denouncing him? And maybe how is it a silent war when everybody is up front seeing what's happening? Y'all, we got to get into this because you cannot make this up. Okay, so what am I talking about, right? Meek Mills posted that interview with that woman talking about some people were in suitcases and dumped in the alley, right? Piers Morgan went and said, I apologize for what I've ever done. I do not know what it is. Apparently, Pierce's team went crazy, scouring the internet to get whatever they could pull down. However, TikTok lives forever. Along that time, Meek Mills actually posted, right? Meek Mills actually posted on his Instagram, F is going on, a silent war. And I said, Meek Mills truly is rap's village idiot. He is one of the most talented rappers out there. But baby, every time he speaks, I just reminded of that picture of the Rock Nation brunch for everybody just looking at him, puzzled, shocked, sad, confused, disappointed. Do you know how dumb what you're saying has to be for 21 Savage to look at you in disappointment? Anyway, right? But it had me do a little digging into what actually is going on. If you guys don't know, he tweeted a few other things that were super, super questionable. Again, I think what he was trying to imply is that there is a silent war going on against Jay-Z in whatever. Listen, outside of fantastical things, the fact of the matter is one of your best friends who you did a lot of business with and you were featured with numerous times acting like y'all were boo-coo buddies. Now, it could have been for marketing. It could have been because, it was a nice look. It could have been because you were doing that black money back wealth, 2 billionaires. It could have been a lot of things. But the point of the matter is, it is really suspicious that Jay-Z has not in any way spoken out with Diddy either in support or being quiet. And it is really weird that somebody that you have been partying with doing business with for over 20 years, birthday parties, Rock Nation brunches, all this stuff, you all of a sudden don't know what to do. And you got Stevie Wonder eyes. Again, it could be nothing, but we got the Harvey Weinstein. We have the Jeffrey Epstein. We have the R. Kelly, right? There's a lot of connotations. Now, that said, Oprah has Harvey Weinstein. Oprah has Jeffrey Epstein. Oprah has, well, I don't think she got R. Kelly, but you get what I'm saying, okay? So again, I think they're fair questions, but they're questions that nobody wants asked. But you know what? All truth comes out eventually, so we don't got to worry about that happening. However, when we talk about that, Meek Mills wasn't done. He said, I'm like, who decides war? It's not a silent war, Meek, if we all know what's going on. I'm the one they call to get everybody out. He said, my Jewish homie think I'm a little off. Meek, a lot of people think you're a little off, but you talented, right? Because I told him, I think I'm a stay. Then I asked, you leaving? If you seen your people bleed, anyway, he said he needs blinks. He said, once you get some power, do whatever that you feel like. Once they done with you, they scream, hang that ninja. Again, Meek, you ain't beating these charges. We don't know if they're true, but why? He said, once you get some power, do whatever you feel like. No, that's not the way power works. Once they done with you, they scream, hang that ninja. Again, let's get back to this silent war. Who's the silent war against? Drake, cool with Diddy, siding with Dame Dash, that whole Rock Nation, are already talking about the silent war where the pieces are being moved around so people can quietly exit stage left out of the Diddy drama without any harm to their reputation. Now, never one to not capitalize on something. Jason Lee entered the chat and implied that he got something on Jay-Z and Beyonce. But the thing is, actually, let's listen to this and then you can decide. Hold on.
And it's different than when it was 2016. You know, the game has been elevated. As we can tell, there's no expense being spared. We had a Black Billionaires lunch. Yeah. You understand? Right. And we here together, and we're gonna keep staying together. We getting tighter. You know what I'm saying? And united we stand. And ain't nothing else to us. Black excellence.
Again, let me just say this. And it doesn't mean that they was literally on Epstein Island partying together. But I do want to say that Diddy must have been a major investor in Made in America and Rock Nation Brunch. Because to me, I don't think it's a coincidence that when all that stuff was going down, Jay-Z just decided to cancel those two big events and Made in America. But hey, like Diddy says in this video, the man that nobody can speak about being with them, united you stand, right? Anyway, let's get into what Jason Lee's talking about because you know Jason Lee, he always gonna be. Listen to this mess. Hold on.
I'm getting calls, and I haven't even said anything.
He's implying that Jay-Z's people are calling him, trying to keep him quiet. I don't know. Does he got Jaguar or the leash? What is the connection? Because I don't say what's the connection between Jaguar Wright and Jason Lee and Jay-Z and Beyonce. But let's keep going.
They ain't called me to go to the Rock Nation brunch. They haven't called me to go to the Gold Party.
To accept being honored.
They haven't called me when we offered to honor Jay-Z at the award show. They didn't call me to go to the press conference about striking the deal with the NFL while we were kneeling for Kaepernick. They didn't call me to ask me what I thought about her hair care product. They didn't call me to offer a free bottle of her perfume. I didn't get to go backstage on her tour for the Renaissance. In fact, when the video circulated, making it look like I've been chasing her around like a super fan, which I am a super fan, but I chase nobody.
I would like to put a footnote under that. You chased no one. I do remember Jason Lee with a one Miss Tiffany Haddish chasing Oprah and Tiffany screaming like a crazy woman or in her own voice at Oprah and Oprah looking like she was running for the hills. So I just want to put a little footnote. You chased no one. I don't know if you chased Beyonce, but you definitely chased Oprah with Tiffany screaming like a maniac.
Nobody's called me to clear that up. I haven't gotten a delivery of white flowers with a little card.
Why would anybody call them to clear up? Was it her fault that Beyonce looked like she was about to walk into a wall before she went to speak to Jason Lee? But let's get to the point. Sorry, I'll stop with my ad libs.
Beyonce, why is everybody calling me now?
Oh, and you also stopped.
We're not going to even go there. I stopped a major thing for Beyonce. Didn't even get a thank you.
But so why'd you stop it? Let it out. I don't understand. If you have information that could harm them, unless the information isn't that they didn't do anything. I mean, that's the thing. There is always the chance that like Jay-Z and Diddy really were just business associates and they were never involved in the after parties and stuff. I will say maybe, but also there are so many pictures of Jay-Z and Diddy partying together. At one point I was looking and I was like, does Jay-Z even got this many pictures with Beyonce? I'm just saying, I think they are business partners.
So why is it?
But if you got something and it's serious, then you should let the feds know. And if it's not serious, then that's just personal beef, right?
Everybody calling me now because I'm a firefighter. Because I run towards fires and I put them out or I fan the flames.
I will say that Jason Lee is a firefighter. He puts them out or fans the flames. Sometimes he throws oil on them. But you know what? Let me shut up and keep going.
Why is everybody calling me now? And that's the problem that I have with this whole situation. But I am going to save this conversation for Jay-Z. Jay-Z, you're watching. I know you're watching because you got people calling me. Stop having people call me. You can call me yourself. You know how to get my number. You know you got people calling me. Call me yourself, because this right here is going to go viral. The way my job works on the internet, everybody's going to be clipping, sharing on TikTok. Watch this. Do your thing, TikTok. Jason.
Did this go viral? Did TikTok, did you do your thing?
Beyonce is going to see this. I am exhausted with people calling me about Jay-Z and Beyonce. You've never called for anything else, and I haven't even said anything about you yet. And yet I'm getting all these calls. I've gotten more calls over the weekend about Jay-Z and Beyonce. You know, I think this is an opportunity to have a bridge and have a conversation about how this thing works, because I'm not a publicist. I am not I'm just Jason, okay? And I have opinions about unlocking Hollywood. Remember I said at the top of this show, or somewhere in the show, that I was in love with the entertainment industry until I found out it was Jeffrey Dahmer. This is part of the gnawing at the wrist that the industry does. You know, Black excellence, we don't show up for each other like we should. And then when the shit's about to hit the fan or some shit, you think I'm going to go fan some shit. Now you showing up. You know, again, I'm not angry.
But are they showing up? Because he's saying that they still are not talking to him or returning his calls. Are they showing up? Because, correct me if I'm wrong, it sounds like he said he stopped something major for Beyonce. I do remember when he threatened Beyonce to come on his show and said that if not, he was going to release information. And then he dared Kelly Rowland not to come on his show, and she didn't, and nothing happened. So you did something after that. And correct me if I'm wrong, you're saying that you're getting these calls and they want you to be quiet, but you haven't said anything yet. And Jay-Z's watching this. What is going on? Maybe, again, is this the silent war that Meek Mill spoke of?
Pointed, because as much as I've loved this woman for years, I told you I don't like her as much as I used to. I still love her, but I'm not as super fan like I used to be. You know how much I was I mean, this woman, this is everything.
The thing is, should Jay-Z just, I mean, Jason, stick to Jay-Z, because I don't think, first of all, nobody wants to see Beyonce go down. She has a fan base like crazy, but more importantly, like, the connection to her and Diddy is tenuous at best. Now, Jay-Z in them pictures, I don't know. I kind of feel like no matter what you say, the feds have probably talked to Jay-Z. Now, again, will he be a co-conspirator? Will he be indicted? Is he tied to anything beyond business? Time will tell. I've always said I think there is a money connection, not a freaky connection. But at the end of the day, the one thing everybody will say is Beyonce don't got nothing to do with this. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. This is weird. And now you're coming at Jay-Z because, well, hold on. I'm confused. Let's keep going.
And
this might have actually went viral, like Jason said. I don't know. I wasn't on TikTok for the last 10 days.
Together is everything. But is it? I think this is an opportunity to have a conversation, because I believe that we as a culture should be very supportive of each other before this stuff happens. So that way our proximity to it can help us tell the real story. That's why we got to be working together to tell our stories. But I will tell you, to the audience, if I do come up missing, all the calls I've been getting have been about him. And listen, I haven't had any threatening calls. Nobody has said that they're going to hurt me. So I want to go on record for that.
Okay. So he been getting calls from people, I would assume back in the day, that are not Foxy Brown and aren't free and aren't this. Listen, I have no idea what Jason Lee is talking about, but you think Jay-Z is playing ball with them? You think they threw him a couple dollars to shut up? I'll tell you one thing. If we see Jay-Z hosting the next Impact Awards, right? If we see Jay-Z hosting the next Impact Awards, baby, you already know what it is, was, and what it will be. Anyway, y'all, at the end of the day, we're going to have to wait to see what these federal indictment papers come out.
AIM was calling out Diddy had a strange encounter with Diddy and Jay-Z's bodyguard. Also, we've got a heck of a night. We've got Jaguar Wright live and uncensored coming on in 20 minutes, just over 20 minutes. And then we've got Lionel coming on right after Jaguar. I know loads of questions have come in. So we will be getting those questions out there. But first off, let's look at this clip, shall we? Here we go. Yeah, so that is weird that people live like that. Let me stop sharing that one. And we are going to be looking a little bit more in depth at that one. And then there's also the story that Bieber's wife has come out and said some stuff. It's just come out, this story, in the last hour. So Liam Payne once claimed that he was left scared after his encounter with Diddy and Jay-Z. That was the video we just showed. It was on the Graham Norton show. You can watch the whole thing. It's on YouTube. He said, I went over to speak to him and Jay-Z, and as I shook his hand, he just chuckled. He had the most evil laugh I've ever heard. So I'm a little bit fearful of that. Man, talk about your visceral instincts kicking in and warning you there's a monster in your presence. Diddy held his hand for an uncomfortable amount of time, the longest handshake ever. And he was wondering, when is this going to end? So this video has sparked wild conspiracy theories, according to the Mail, in the wake of Payne's death. Really sad, really sad. I mean, I watched Payne on The Diary of a CEO about 3 years ago, and he was compos mentis, very well spoken. He must have only been in his late 20s if he was only 31 when he died. And he was talking about how, the gym is his rock, and he was going to jiu-jitsu. And if he had bad feelings about anyone, he would just write them a response, but not send it, and that would get it out of his system. He was trying to do all these positive things. But you could see, if you look at the videos of him recently, you can see that he's gone through some stuff. So I've got a video here, which I think is one of his last videos. Let me get this one up for you. In Argentina. Let's see, Liam Payne. And I'll play this and get your thoughts.
Morning, everybody. Here's a little video of me. It's rude to put hats on the table.
Sorry.
Is this your hat?
Yeah.
Children. It's a lovely day here in Argentina. This is the breakfast table.
I'm just eating an orange.
Just enjoying coffee and breakfast, even though it's like 1 p.m.
Literally, we sleep in every day until at least 12. We're such losers.
No.
No.
Morning, everybody. Here's a little video.
Yeah, he doesn't seem as compos mentis as in that video as he was on The Diary of a CEO. Absolute tragedy, what's happened. Such a young man and so full of promise. I don't know if any of you guys ever saw the interview we did with Robbie Williams, but Robbie Williams described something very similar, whereby he was catapulted into fame, and it was like his brain was just like this, going through space like this meteor, just burning up. And I could see how that can quite easily destroy somebody. I mean, The Diary of a CEO, guys, before the interview commenced, he said to him, one of his aspirations as a kid was to be in a boy band, but after speaking to Liam Payne, he crossed that off the list, because it's not external, is it? If you've got something in here, it doesn't matter all the fame in the world, all the money in the world, all the sexual partners in the world, all the drugs in the world, none of that is going to fix what's going on in here. And if he wasn't, if his the pressures on him from that fame from such a young age, that can take its toll. And Robbie Williams described that in great detail. If you put on YouTube Sean Atwood, Robbie Williams, and watch that interview, he's very charismatic, very funny, but there are a lot of parallels between what Robbie Williams survived and what Liam Payne went through. All right, so Jaguars coming in 15 minutes, followed by Lionel. The other news story that came out today was about Bieber we've got some Bieber news. Let me just find that one for you real quick. And we've got an hour with Jaguar, and then so Hailey Bieber, an hour with Lionel, unless he goes into overtime again. He went into overtime last week. So Hailey Bieber just gave her first interview since welcoming her son. 27-year-old model skipped the Victoria's Secrets fashion show this week. Spoke with WWD about her Road Beauty brand. In the interview, she talked about the challenges of being a boss. Said she's aware the journey for her brand is never going to be smooth. Mistakes are going to happen. Bumps on the road. Doesn't look like she's saying anything about Justin.
Get to a certain. What up, Night Nation? This your boy, Stevie Knight. About to get on one of these things, you feel me? What's good with Watch? Night Watch, man. Drill. Shop, StevieKnight.com. I am a masculinist all day, every day. Link for that description box below, man. Like the video, sub to the channel. Like the video, man. Been waiting for somebody to drop like a documentary style type of video with some receipts in regards to Hove and Beyonce, outside of just talking about it, you feel me? And we here now because LaWaster just dropped a video. His videos, they go hard, bro. And it's titled. The title of this video is "The Disturbing Truth Behind Jay-Z and Beyonce." You know, we've been following the whole collapse of the industry as of lately with the Diddy debacle or whatnot. And I'm of the mind that Jay-Z's more evil than damn Diddy from what I think is going on. It's not discussed enough in regards to the deafening silence that Jay-Z has had in regards to this whole Diddy situation. Beyonce, silent crickets. You feel me? And there's been quite a bit of firsthand testimony from those who have had their own experiences with Jay-Z as well. And it seems to be, it's gonna come to light though. You give it to this trial, bro. Was it March 2025 when Ding Ding officially starts? No, Diddy. Ding Ding was like the bell. But anyway, let's get into it. Let's see what he got up for us with Jay-Z and Beyonce's evil asses, boy.
The rap world is undergoing a reckoning at the moment, as everyone is looking at the dark secrets that are spilling out. With the news that Diddy might be going away for life, people are now questioning who else might be in line to have their private lives exposed, with the terrible things that they've done to others coming to light and potentially ruining their reputation. And at the moment, it's not just one individual under scrutiny, but it's rap's real power couple who are being placed under the microscope, as they are now facing accusations that range from behind-the-scenes political manipulation to even murder. It's your boy LaWaster, and this is the disturbing alleged double life of Jay-Z and Beyonce. During a recent interview with Piers Morgan, R&B singer and conspiracy theorist Jaguar Wright made several allegations. Although she had been brought on the show to discuss the diddler and how she had been calling him out for years, she went majorly off script and started talking about...
But she been calling Jay-Z and Beyonce out for a long time. A long time. I put it out there, dog.
Hove and the former Destiny's Child singer turned megastar.
Why there's no vindication for me? Because for 4 years, I've been screaming, not just Diddy, but Diddy and Jay-Z are monsters, and the victim-making machine kept going on.
When Piers pointed out that Hove hadn't responded to all the rumors going around about their friendship after Diddy's arrest, Wright claimed that Jay's underhanded tactics and sneaky ways of avoiding direct involvement have allowed him to stay on top in the industry.
That's what he does. He starts little fires everywhere, forces everyone involved to go and carry water while he sneaks away without a response. That changes now, Sean. You must respond.
Rather than say he was just an accomplice to evil, she said that in reality, Jay was the connective tissue between many of the big names who have been involved in horrific acts.
Harvey Weinstein, Jeffrey Epstein, Robert Kelly, Sean Combs have one person in common. Sean Carter, this has been a fist of tyranny that has been punching through our culture and our society for decades. It must stop.
She even claimed that there are people ready to come forward with their stories, adding fuel to a conspiracy theory that's recently gained a lot of attention. One involving their alleged connection to the tragic death of another prominent R&B artist.
I have 3 victims right now who are willing to give testimony about not only what Mr. Carter has done to them, but his wife as well. They're a nasty little couple. They do nasty things. Keeping people against their will, putting people on planes while they're unconscious, just like Aaliyah got on that plane, unconscious.
Now, if you were looking for that portion of her interview with the British journalist anywhere else on YouTube, you wouldn't find it. Because after she made those comments, Morgan got hit with a cease and desist and was made to censor his allegedly uncensored show.
Well, Jack, you were right, unexpectedly made several serious allegations about Jay-Z and Beyonce during that interview. As I said in the moment, they were not present to respond or defend themselves, but now they have. Their lawyers contacted us to say that those claims were totally false and have no basis in fact, and we've therefore complied with the legal request to cut them from the original interview. Editing interviews is not something we do lightly at a show called Uncensored. Like the proverbial cries of fire in a crowded theatre, there are legal limits on us too. We apologize to Jay-Z and Beyonce.
After it was pulled from...
Bruh, tell me you're guilty without telling me you're guilty, bro. There's other interviews you can find with Jaguar talking about the same thing, bro. It's just Pierce got a monster grip on attention. They're trying to get ahead of this fucking monster while they can, dog. But tell me you're guilty without telling me you're guilty.
Air, and Morgan had this tail between his legs. Their lawyer Alex Spiro labeled the claim as clearly false. There's rumors and then there's nonsense. And this is one step further, he told TMZ. This is a pointed and formal accusation of something. I felt it needed to be responded to. I think somebody reported it was a cease and desist. It wasn't that. It was quite bluntly an ultimatum, which is to remove that false accusation that's demonstrably false, or a court is gonna order you to. So I think he made the wise choice and acted accordingly. Some people agreed with their legal team that you couldn't just make claims like this without any consequence.
People do it every day.
Some who felt that this made Jay-Z and
Fuck outta here.
Beyonce look way more guilty than they would
Right.
otherwise.
People do that shit
and
every
maybe
fucking day.
the damage had been done. Where there's smoke, there's fire. It's too late to edit it out. The internet lives forever. And I mean, they're right. Once you put something onto social media, it takes on a new life of its own. And these days, there's a lot of people who are wondering now if Jay-Z and Beyonce weren't just in cahoots with Puff, but were just as bad as the diddler himself. Because even after the threats of legal action from Jay and Bay's legal team, Jaguar continued to argue that if Diddy was brought to justice, they would be too.
That's always been my focus.
Here we go.
They're one and the same. Tell me something. When you have a peanut butter jelly sandwich, if it's just peanut butter, it's just peanut butter. If it's just jelly, it's jelly. When you put it together, it becomes a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and the taste is undeniable.
You saying Diddy and Jay-Z is peanut butter jelly?
Peanut butter and jelly. Let's deal with the sandwich.
As opposed to jumping on the bandwagon, it should be noted that this is definitely the first time that she leveled these claims at Hove and Co. Instead, Jaguar, who sang backing vocals on Jay-Z's Unplugged album, has been claiming that Hove abused her and others for years.
Tom Carter is just as bad as the diddler, and I know that for a fact. I got the scars to prove it. You want to know what a box cutter feels like going into your skin and ripping you? I can tell you how it feels. Y'all ain't seen it. That Cassie shit, that's nothing.
Are you trying to say like Jay-Z put hands on you?
So I'm saying Sean Carter remembers everything he did to me, and he's got it on too. Just like Diddy. It's gonna be the women that get him in the end.
Of course,
That's
there are
the
some
only
people...
thing. She be selling it though, bro. Like you could just say it. She got to be so theatric with her story, bro. Trying to give it more attention. But the shit you saying is gonna go viral regardless, dog. You ain't gotta say it the way you saying it. You feel me? But these echoes, these whispers have been following a hole for quite some time. It ain't just been Jaguar. That's why I'm okay, goddamn, saying what the fuck I'm saying. Right? But her ass, and she been caught. I've caught her lying a few times about some bullshit. But you know what I'm saying? Bitch, you ain't gotta sell it. You ain't gotta sell it. Just say it.
Who would discredit Jaguar right. Throughout the years, she has shown signs of instability, such as throwing her son's ashes at people during an argument before smearing them on her own skin.
Oh my this. Oh my son. Oh my son. They're all dead.
She definitely nuts. She definitely nuts.
They're all dead. They're all dead.
But as hard as that is to accept, she has been proven right in other ways. From Diddy's secret freak-offs, right down to the ingredients of the cocktail that Diddy used to sedate the participants in these events.
It's a veterinary drug. It's a horse tranquilizer. Now, gay men have been using this for years. If you went to a gay party or a gay rave, there were certain drugs that you will always find on hand. Viagra, Special K, and cocaine.
But as headline-grabbing as what she has to say is, Wright is ultimately only one voice in the crowd of people who have suggested that there's something seriously warped going on behind the scenes in Hov's life, right down to fellow 90s hip-hop artists like Lord Jamar. According to him, Hov's indiscretions were a lot better disguised than Diddy's.
Yup.
But the fact that he started dating Beyonce after meeting her when she was just 17 years old, as well as rumors that he got with Foxy Brown when the rapper was 15 and he was 27, should have rang alarm bells.
You know, I will say that Jay-Z, if he was doing ill like that, he was more quiet about it. You know what I mean? But then, if we be real with ourselves, it was kind of abnormal when he got with Beyonce. Like, she was pretty young when he got with her. There's rumors that he was messing with Foxy Brown
when she was 16.
She was pretty young, you know. So
covered
there's a
all
lot
this
of those rumors around.
But if you ask Jamar, this situation is scarily common when it comes to these high-powered celebrities, and Jay is just one of many people that he had heard some dark things about.
You know, I'm not gonna lie. When certain people get to a certain level of fame,
Do what
I
they
don't know
want.
why, but you start to hear little about certain people sometimes. If you really think about most of your top celebrities, black celebrities, rappers, I feel like I've heard a rumor damn near about all of them. It could be. Or it could be that motherfuckers got to join a club in order to get to a certain level. Everybody that goes past a certain point, you'll hear a little, have I heard little shit about Jay-Z? Yup.
The whole Foxy Brown situation is one that's had people concerned for a long time. Even when she appeared on his debut album in 1996, the track was recorded 2 years earlier when she was just 15. Then, as her first album emerged when she was 17, it was full of explicit lyrics and had 5 co-writing credits for, you guessed it, Sean Carter. So at this point, Hov and Foxy's relationship seems to be an open secret. Even Jason Lee hinted towards it on a recent IG Live after Puffy's arrest.
And then Diddy, that whole empire crumbling got a lot of y'all scared because your favorite rapper was sleeping with a 15-year-old. But listen, here's the deal.
But when it comes to Jay's questionable behavior around young...
You gotta drop the verse. Foxy dropped the verse saying that she was fucking with Jay-Z when she was too young.
The streets talking, got the hood going crazy. Niggas heard I fuck with Ross and had a nigga baby. I said I fuck with Nas and now they say it's AZ. But on the low, a real nigga was Jay-Z. He come get out, the Lex spit at. Way before the guard flew, way before the made bid at. Out of town trips to Baltimore, bid at.
She said it out her mouth. I'm surprised you didn't include that in the video, bro.
Young women, it doesn't end with those he tries to court. Sometimes he's threatening teenagers just to get their signature on a contract. During an appearance on Tyra Banks' show way back in the day, a 17-year-old Rihanna let it slip that Jay had been a little forceful in convincing her to sign to Def Jam back when he was still at the helm of the label.
Like that, there are 2 ways to leave here, either through the door with the deal sign or through this window, and we're on the 29th floor. So he was like, where's the pen? Where's the paper? I'm signing. Yeah.
This may have seemed like a lighthearted anecdote from Riri at the time, but considering everything we now know about how the top figures in hip-hop operate, it lands a little differently. Particularly when you hear some of the stories about how Jay and Bey have allegedly moved through both the industry and their own secretive lives. The name Kathy Coriana White might not necessarily mean anything to you, but for those who are familiar with the dirt surrounding the Carters, she's one of the most interesting individuals in the whole situation. It was alleged that back in the day, Kathy and Jay-Z were engaged in an affair. Eventually, the press got wind of it and tried to follow up. But then, something horrible happened before the truth could come out. The story comes from former entertainment reporter Liz Crocken, who said that she was on the cusp of blowing the whole thing wide open when tragedy struck. In August of 2011, I was working as a senior editor for Star magazine. My boss asked me to look into online blog reports claiming that a woman named Kathy Coriana White, who friends called Corey, was having an affair with Jay-Z. The blog that reportedly first broke the affair story was published by Hollywood Street King in an article titled Busted: Jay-Z Caught Cheating on Beyonce with Kathy White in August of 2010. I managed to get a hold of Kathy at her job in New York over the phone. I then uncovered photos of Kathy hanging out with Jay-Z and Diddy at Tao nightclub in Las Vegas. So I called her back and asked her about the photo evidence that debunked her initial claim that she had never met or hung out with Jay-Z. At this point, Kathy expressed to me that she would consider going public with her story. Days later, I tried to reach her at her work with no luck. I finally got a hold of one of her colleagues, and I asked her if she knew why Kathy had been MIA. Her colleague shockingly told me she's dead. This story has gained plenty of attention over the years, even becoming the focus of a full video by Trap Lord Ross, who hinted that there might be more beneath the surface than we initially thought. But her friend and colleague, Claudia Jordan, has pushed back and has since tried to dead the story. Still, it continues to grow arms and legs, with people even theorizing that Ye hinted towards the situation between White and Jay-Z on the infamous track Blood on the Leaves, when he said, "He only want to see that ass in reverse. $2,000 bag with no cash in your purse. Now you sit in courtside, wifey on the other side. Gotta keep them separated. I call that apartheid." Then she says she's pregnant. That's the night your heart died. Now you gotta go to your girl and report that. Main reason, because your pastor said he can't abort that. Obviously, Ye and Kanye have a complex relationship that could be deserving of its own video one day. But it wouldn't exactly be
Ye and Kanye. You mean Hov and Kanye, right?
Complex relationship that could be deserving of its own video one day. But it wouldn't exactly be the first time that he blew the whistle on his former mentor and said more than he should have. Because when they had fallen out in the past, Ye seemed to suggest that there was more reasons to be afraid of Hov.
I've been sent here to give y'all my truth, even at the risk of my own life, even at the risk of my own success, my own career. Jay-Z called me, bro. You still ain't called me. Jay-Z called me. Hey, bro, Jay-Z, I know you don't kill us. Please don't send them out my head. Just call me. Talk to me like a man.
Much like Jaguar White, Ye is a man who the media has also labeled as crazy from time to time, so this pretty much went under the radar. But some believe he might have been onto something, especially since Kathy White isn't the only person in their circle to have mysteriously and suddenly passed away.
The plane crash that killed a rising star in the world of music and film. Reaction today after Aaliyah and 8 others were killed when their plane went down.
The tragic death of Aaliyah is one that's grown very shadowy in recent years. For starters, it's recently emerged that the beloved singer wasn't even conscious when she boarded the plane that crashed and claimed her life. They took her out of the van. She didn't even know she was getting boarded on a plane. She went on the plane asleep. And one person who's become increasingly wary of the official story is Dame Dash. To many people, he's the original hater when it comes to Hov, incapable of accepting what went wrong with their friendship at Rockefeller Records. But to many people, he's been seen as the man who was right about Hov all along. In case you didn't know, Dame was dating Aaliyah at the time of her untimely death. But that happened long after Hov had been trying to date her since she was 17, whereas Dame didn't start dating her until she was 21.
I didn't look at her like that because she was like a tomboy. She was little to me. But then one time, she was, I guess we had the same bookkeeper, and I walked past, and the thing about Aaliyah was like every time I saw her, she looked different. So she had different looks every time, and I was like, who the fuck is that?
According to Dame, this was something that stayed with Jay long after his former friend and label co-owner hooked up with her and was the cause of some friction between them.
Everybody knows that shit. Like we were both. I
heard it, but I didn't.
Yeah, but what they be trying to act like he was like really fucking with. Now he was sending flowers and doing all the shit that nigga. He was courting her, so we were both going hard, and we ended up in the same house 4th of July. So we, for some reason, this day.
Wait a minute, you, Jay, and Aaliyah ended up in the same house.
Yeah,
that's funny.
So it was like one day it might lean toward him and then it would lean toward me. But I was just on fire that week. Like I was just everything I was saying was funny. You know what I'm saying? It was like, and I remember coming downstairs, like, you know, it happened. He was like, so, you know, this is going to be hard for me. Because his friends were laughing at him.
But there was a third man involved in the situation. The individual who had groomed her and married her when she was just 14, R. Kelly. Despite how sick this was and how much Kelly's behavior was an open secret in the game, Jay went ahead and made 2 collaborative projects with him. Meanwhile, Dame refused to take a dime from them.
I don't want to be a part of that, so I'm not working with you. So I walked away from Weinstein, and then homie didn't do business with him. When it came down to R. Kelly, there was a conversation had about the moralness, like it's morally wrong to do a project with someone that we know raped my girl or raped anybody for that matter. So I do know that conversation was had, and I was really surprised that he moved forward with that relationship. I don't know Epstein, so I never had the chance to walk away from him. But I do know that when that project did come out, I didn't want any part of that project. I didn't want any of the money to go to Rockefeller or me when it came to Rockefeller. It was around the time that Jay was trying to kind of separate himself from us, and he was saying that he didn't want to be a part anymore.
The idea that Hove must have known was echoed by Nas, who seemed to have suggested something similar at the height of his beef with Jay-Z.
You can't tell me Jay didn't see a 14-year-old girl come in the studio and sit on R. Kelly's lap. You can't tell me that he ain't never seen a 14-year-old girl come in the vicinity. You've seen it go down. Yeah. I've been around R. Kelly. I've been on a tour with him. I didn't see no 14-year-old that I talked to the man, and I've seen there's a little problem there.
In the years that have passed since Aaliyah's tragic death, Dame has increasingly wondered if someone had something to gain from her passing away. And in recent years, people have felt that Jay and Beyonce are among those who might have had a hand in it, or at least had something to gain from her passing, including Jaguar White.
Wait, wasn't this all around the time when Aaliyah died?
Yeah.
And Beyonce's solo career was struggling? Damn on your horn now, that fucking bullshit ass record. From the Austin Powers shit was some of the worst shit out. They were having a hard time taking her solo, and then Aaliyah died.
While Dame has never explicitly said that Hove was the man involved, he has basically said that it's now up to his former friend and others to make it clear that there's no foul play.
I know that there are people that benefited from her death, but for me, when I hear these conspiracies, I'm like, how could they be that powerful that they could get a plane or someone to crash a plane? Like, I don't want to say I'm underestimating people, but I don't give people like that. That's like, yo, that's the most illest gangster shit. Some Pablo Escobar, you could actually get a plane to crash. And then a lot of rumors about me, like I sacrificed her and some dumb shit like that. You know, all those things. It's hard to, like, I don't want to believe that, but it does make me think it through, you know? So again, in this moment, just because there's so much gray area on a legal level, not what I'm suspecting, but like, you know, this shit is now real. Or if it isn't real, people are going to have to prove that it's not real.
But he hasn't shied away from making some pretty wild claims about Hove that echo some things that you might have been hearing about Diddy. During a particularly shocking interview, Dame Dash alleged that Jay followed in Diddy's footsteps and spiked his drinks after a show.
There was this one time when my daughter was 16, Jay had a show and my daughter wanted to go. So I'm like, yo, I'm not going to deprive my daughter. So, I hollered at Jay, sent the kite and told him I wanted to go to a show with my daughter. And they accommodated me to the fullest. People were really surprised to see me there, took pictures with everybody. And again, Emery's my brother, so I would hate to think that he was fucking around like that, pause. But he kept asking me something. That was the first time I had tasted that Douce. And I got ridiculously drunk to the extent, and my daughter and I were talking about this the other day, that I was like, yo, I don't get this drunk. Why am I so drunk? And I ended up wrestling with Kevin Hart. Poor nigga got me a chicken wing. And I remember Vaughn taping that shit. I'm like, yo, why you taping, Vaughn? So I'm thinking, I'm like, damn, because homie makes drinks too. And again, just if this is true, these are the things that I'm like, just reflecting on. And if I wouldn't have played everything completely by the book, complete honor, then I could have been compromised.
For the most part, we've been focusing on Jay-Z. In a lot of ways, it makes sense that he's the one who's been on the front lines of the industry for almost 30 years, pulling strings and hustling his way to $1 billion. Generally, you don't get that rich without getting your hands a little dirty. So, does Beyonce have similar skeletons in her closet? Well, these days, people are beginning to think so. Recently, the video of Kanye's VMA escapade with Taylor Swift has been doing the rounds again on social media. But instead of the usual narratives about him stealing a young girl's thunder, people are now suggesting that he actively saved Taylor. Because the theory goes that if she hadn't given Beyonce any credit, it could have gone south for her. Check this out.
Beyonce, whoo! She's all... You changed my life. You sang that gospel medley, and the way you made me feel, I was like, I want to make people feel this way with my music. So thank you so much. You clearly are the artist of our lives.
Hey, artist of my life is Beyonce in this album for me. I appreciate that. And all us artists here, we fucking adore you. You are our light. And I love you. I always have, and I always will.
Well, Beyonce had one of the best videos of all time.
For Ye fans, this whole scenario has been a real layup, as it means that people are posting positive comments about him for a change. But even if there's nothing to really substantiate that theory, it doesn't change the fact that she has lost 4 million followers since March 2024. If you're keeping tabs, that's around the same time that things started to get wild with Diddy's case. And just as Jaguar White has been going at
How many
Hove,
followers she got though? 100 and something million. Bro, she got 314 million followers. 4 million ain't shit.
there are people inside Beyonce's inner circle who have suggested that there's darkness underneath the surface there as well. Identifying himself as her former bodyguard, a TikToker who goes by the name of Uncle Ron has started sharing some wild stories about Beyonce and Hove, only for those TikToks to also be taken down. For one thing, he said that she had a pretty severe addiction, and this was for Hove's benefit.
See, hardly nobody knows, but I say it, man. Yeah, Beyonce's on drugs. She been on them for a long time, and you keep her that way. Y'all wish it what you wish it to stay on top. But there's one thing about me, bro. I can't be bought.
In a separate video, he threatened to expose them, claiming that they might take drastic action to silence him with the kind of dirt he had on them, including but not limited to them ending other R&B singers' careers and even their relationship being a sham.
Beyonce and Jay-Z will do anything to destroy anyone who speaks out against them. Okay, I get the threats, but you have to remember one thing. I know your deepest secrets. I know so much about you and what you've done. I know so much on how you got where you are, how you stepped on many people. Beyonce, how you guys ended Carrie Hilson's career because she said something about you. That's how hateful you guys are, how you step on anybody to stay on the top. So remember, your relationship was a business relationship, financial, to get to the top, to become billionaires. There's no love there.
From there, Uncle Ron continued, claiming that he would drop evidence if they ever challenged him.
Remember,
drop the
all
shit.
the receipts, all the proof, the old school footage. I still have it.
Now, it's hard to validate if a lot of what he's saying is fact, but there are comments from Carrie Hilson from years ago where she tries to explain why she disappeared from the music industry for 7 years after shading Beyonce on the track Turn It On. Although she didn't go too much into detail, it's clear that there were repercussions for that.
It's the price you pay, when you're early in your career, you feel that you have to listen. And when you buck, they buck harder. And they make threats, and those threats are huge ones. And you know what I mean? You don't feel like you have a choice. I really didn't feel like I had a choice. It was do this or this will happen. And I'm young, I'm early 20s, and I'm like, they're like, sing this song. You don't have it, you're here for a couple hours, I go to town. It's that. It's the whole, if you don't, then blank. So you learn, though. You learn to fight harder. I didn't have enough fight in me I was maybe 20, 21. I didn't have enough fight in me.
But the whole thing gets even crazier because unfortunately, just months after unveiling his TikToks about Jay and Beyonce, Uncle Ron's family would take to his TikTok to announce that he had passed away. Let's make this clear. No one is saying that Hove and Beyonce did anything. After all, he could have died of natural causes. But when you consider everything that's emerged as of late, you can bet that this sure isn't going to stop the conspiracy theories from coming. And who knows? If any of this is true, they might end up in a cell right alongside Diddy. If you didn't know by now, hip-hop is full of wild conspiracy theories. And if you want to get more acquainted with more of them, just check out some of the videos on the screen. As always, I want to thank y'all for watching today's video.
Dope coverage, man. Yeah.
Into it. One of the many crimes Diddy is being accused of is drugging his victims and taking advantage of them. Allegedly, Diddy sedated many of his victims using many different methods. It is believed that Diddy would lace bottles of liquor at his parties that he was serving to his female guests. He did this to make sure they were easier to take advantage of. He also did this so these women would have a hard time remembering the things they did at Diddy's party. Add this with the fact that Diddy would also take his guests' phones before they entered his parties. Makes it understandable how it made it so hard for these people to remember what happened at his parties. What's truly interesting is that everything that's described that was happening at Diddy's parties was basically the plot of the movie Blink Twice. After many of you requested, I made a video on the movie Blink Twice. I rented it and I watched it to see what you guys were referring to. After watching the movie, I felt that I had to cover it as it seems to be an inside look at what happens at these private parties with the elite. Before we talk about the movie, I wanted to talk about something the director of the movie, Zoe Kravitz, stated. Zoe claimed that this movie was 100% based on true events. If you've seen the movie and heard the Diddy allegations, you can see she is most likely not lying. Zoe was born into Hollywood, as her parents were both celebrities, with her father being the famous artist Lenny Kravitz and her mom being the actress Lisa Bonet. Zoe has been in Hollywood her entire life, and she has definitely seen some things that inspired this movie. Zoe not only wrote the movie, but she also directed it, and everything that we see in this movie comes from her experiences in Hollywood, with the movie seeming to play out as one of the many Diddy lawsuits that we have been hearing about. What's interesting about this all is that the movie was written before 2022, because that's when they began filming this movie. Yet the movie feels so relevant to all that's going on now. In order for you to see my point, I will have to provide a quick rundown of what the movie is about. For those who haven't seen the movie, there will be spoilers ahead. The movie is about a woman named Frida and her friend Jess being invited to a private island to hang out with billionaire Slater King, played by Channing Tatum. The girls were cocktail waitresses, and they see this opportunity to have a great time on a private island with billionaires. The two friends agree and are then flown with other girls to Slater King's private island to hang out with him. While the women were under the impression that they were going to have the best time of their lives, they quickly learned this isn't exactly what was going to happen. The first thing that happens when the girls get on the island is that they have to give up their phones. The girls' phones are confiscated by Slater's personal assistant and stored. Then the women are given gifts and are constantly fed with drugs and alcohol. The first couple of days pass and the girls believe that they're having a great time as they hang out with this powerful billionaire. Everything begins to change though when Jess ends up being bitten by a snake. The next day, Jess disappears, and for some reason, no one else seems to know what happened to her or even remember if she was even there. Frida remembers that she was there, but for some reason can't remember what happened to her. From this moment on, Frida realizes that there's a lot she can't remember. While the daytime seems to be a blast, at night after dinner, the girls don't seem to remember anything that happens. Eventually, Frida discovers the reason she can't remember anything, and it's because her and the other girls are being drugged. The girls were gifted a bottle of perfume when they first arrived at the island. Little did they know the perfume was laced with a drug that made them lose their memory every night. While the girls were thinking they were having a great time, it all turned out to be a lie. During the entire time they were at the island, they were being drugged and R-worded by Slater and his rich elite friends. The perfume and all the drugs they were being fed kept them sedated and incapable of remembering the abuse they were experiencing every night at the hands of Slater and his billionaire friends. It's not hard to see that this movie was about Diddy and all the men like Diddy in Hollywood. Recently, a woman went on Soft White Underbelly and told her firsthand experience at a Diddy party. She stated that just like in the movie, her phone was confiscated and Diddy and her friends were trying to drug everyone at the party. She also claims that she was brought over to Diddy as a gift by an Arabian prince whom she was hanging out with.
The girls. Now, mind you, I'm the only black girl. So I'm like, oh, yeah, you know, I'm about to meet Pete Diddy. Oh, you know, like, I'm probably going to have to sing for him. Da-da. And I just tried to, like, keep my composure. So we get there, and that's when stuff got weird. And that's why they lock up our phones, because they know what we see in there. You know, it's he can get in trouble, like right now. So basically, so we arrived, security guard patted us down. They put our phone in this little bubble case. So the bubble case is closed. They can't get unlocked until we walk out. So as we're in there, the only way of us taking any type of pictures is if we get in the photo booth. So I'm walking around or whatever. So one of his sons, I'm not going to tell you which one, but it was like recruiting, like wherever they wanted to go inside the house. Because the freak off is inside the house and in the backyard. So you have the pool, and they're playing loud house music, Mark. The house music, it makes you feel kind of woozy, first of all, because it's like a rave or something. And people are walking around naked, period. Let's get into it. They're walking around naked already, and they're in the pool, skinny dipping. And they're drinking mimosas in the pool, but there's like a waitress walking around giving people drinks, just passing people drinks, you know, and people are just taking them. The sons see me walking. Mind you, I'm with other girls, but we split up. So I was walking with one girl. She's a Puerto Rican girl. So P. Diddy's son was like, you. And I'm like, me or her? And then he was like, no, you. Come here. So I went to him, and he gave me some shoes. So these shoes was like some terry cloth, like robes, white shoes. And I'm like, what am I supposed to do with these? He was like, go in the house with these. He was like, everybody who gets these shoes, you get to go in the house. But everybody can't go in the house. They're literally selectively picking who they want. So I'm like, well, what about my friend? He was like, no, only you. I'm like, oh, I seen P. Diddy or whatever, and I seen with the Prince. I'm not going to say what he was doing, but something really I get real nervous. Something real crazy because I don't like to really expose people. I could talk about me, but when other people, bro, doing something real sexual, that's so that we could see and so that we can get turned on, okay? So he's doing something with himself. And I'm like, girl, do you see him? She's like, yeah. What got me was how he walked up to me. He's like, why are you not in the house? And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, how are you enjoying my house? So we had a little talk over there. He started talking about all these, oh yeah, you're the one that, you know, I seen was telling me about the prince. He's like, oh yeah, it's very nice to meet you. Like your life is not going to be the same, But to get to the point, I ended up going in the house because he was on me like, go in that house. I'm like, okay. So that's what made me go into the house because I'm like, okay, let me just go in the house. My friend like, wait right here, girl, let me just put on these shoes, see what this house is about. Walk up in there. I don't judge people, but you know when people are out of their mind and you know people, you know what you don't want to be a part of. And it's just like, I'm seeing stuff that you see on the movies. This corner, this got going on. This corner, they over here doing this. This corner, they over there having sex. Corner, I'm just going to say, because I don't know what I can say because I'm not trying to be incriminating myself, but they were dressed up like little Harajuku Barbies.
Like what?
Little people, okay? We're not going to say what type of little people. And I'm looking like, what are they doing here? Like dressed up, little red lipstick, like they weren't supposed to be there. But I'm just looking like maybe it's some type of production going on. But why would they be at this party at 7:00 in the morning with grown people? Like, why would they be here? So I was just like, okay, whatever. Like, but then when I'm looking in this corner, this person laid out and I'm looking like, what's going on? Then I'm seeing like Instagram models or whatever. I'm like, oh, hey, kind of getting distracted, feeling like kind of comfortable. Like she's here. Oh my gosh, she's. And then I see P. Diddy, you know, walking through the house like with his eyes on me. Like, you know, like, is this, you know, you see, like, are you agreeing with this? And I don't. Now, mind you, I still got my friend out there. So I walked out of the house and I'm like, oh my God, you should, she like for real. But it's like, I'm not even tripping like, oh, well, like it's weird, you know? So I'm really looking at the situation like, I don't even want to be involved in this type of stuff because once I see something, I can't get it out of my mind. And I'm like a hypochondriac, like I keep having flashbacks about it. So whatever. So of course I come out. And then here he goes again. Another rapper, well-known rapper, comes and starts feeling on me like, hey, you. So now it just seems like everybody is faded at this point. They're either drunk or on all the drugs, obviously, with this house music. So now I just feel like trapped in. Like, I like it. And I know the devil when I see it. Because by me being so spiritual and tapped in, I know when something is not right. I'm not judging, but I just don't want to be a part of it because how am I going to get out of this? I'm already here. And then I heard conversations or whatever. And then P. Diddy was like, that's the one that I want. I want her. So now I feel like, you know, they plotting on me like, did you bring me here on purpose? Like, the, you know, producer you was talking about. And I came here specifically with the Prince to rub elbows with people, to network for the music week. But then I put two together like, the Prince have been saying your life is never going to be the same. You're going to be happy. And I just feel like I was going to get trapped, you know, drugged or something like that. And then it kept trying to make me. I've been around celebrities before. If a rapper wants you or somebody wants you, they're not going to do it. They're going to send somebody else to do it. So.
As you heard for yourself, this girl explains how she was brought to Diddy's house by an Arabian prince. She also claims that she was invited into the freak-off by one of Diddy's sons, claiming that the freak-off happened inside of the house. While at the party, not only did she see the celebrities participating in an orgy, but she also claimed that she saw little people referring to underage people at the party, dressed up strangely. She claimed that everyone at the party was loaded off substances, losing their minds. In many ways, this is similar to the movie Blink Twice. The script of the movie played out just like a Diddy lawsuit. Diddy has already been accused of inviting girls to hang out with him, drugging them, and then having his way with them. Many of his victims have stated that they had trouble fully remembering what took place while they were with Diddy. Recently, it was revealed that the baby oil in Diddy's house was most likely laced with DMT, a substance that makes people hallucinate. It appears that Diddy was applying this to his victims to make them more compliant and to possibly make them forgetful. This is exactly what they showed us in the movie Blink Twice. While it wasn't baby oil in the movie, it was perfume that made the girls forget. The girls would put the perfume on and forget everything that took place that night. In the movie, Slater also made sure to take all the girls' phones away. This is the same exact thing Diddy does at his parties, so his victims won't have a way to prove anything that's going on.
Excuse me, I need the phones, guys. I need your phones. I need your phones. I need your phones. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And Quincy, I know you have two phones, Quincy. Oh, there you go. That's what I love. Yeah. Just Glow. So proud of you, Just Glow. Look at that. Got all the phones. Do I have everybody's phone? So we got two cars. We got this car and the car over there.
Diddy is accused of R-wording his victims after he drugs them, just like we're shown in the movie Blink Twice. Slater was drugging the women so he and his friends could R-word them. Remember, this movie was written and filmed way before the Diddy arrest or allegations. They wrote and filmed this movie back in 2022. This was Hollywood hiding the truth in plain sight. It's pretty clear that these powerful celebrities and executives are sedating people who party with them and using these women and men as party favors for their elite friends. It's not just Diddy, it's all of them in the industry. They are all behaving like this behind the scenes. Hollywood has been telling us the truth about Diddy for years. All the way back in 2010, the movie Get Him to the Greek literally showed us what Diddy was up to in the industry, showing Diddy playing a fictional executive who gives his employees and artists drugs, even ordering a woman to hook up with Jonah Hill on demand. This movie, just like Blink Twice, showed us what Diddy and other powerful people in the industry were up to. While Blink Twice was a fictional movie, the writer and director of the movie admitted it was inspired by real events that happened in Hollywood. While she might not have been referring to the Diddy parties, she was referring to Hollywood elite parties in general. It is interesting that her father, Lenny Kravitz, partied with Diddy before. Maybe his daughter was writing about this party all along. While some people might see similarities with this movie and Epstein, Epstein's situation was a bit different. Epstein was a man who was running a trafficking operation out of his island, and almost all his victims were minors. Diddy was gathering random people who wanted to make it in the industry so that he can take advantage of them. It seems that this movie might have just merged both of these situations. One thing is for sure, this movie proves Hollywood is a dark, dangerous place. Those in Hollywood who are trying to make it need to turn away from this industry as the price is too expensive for fame. In order to be a star, you need to sell your soul and let men like Diddy do what they want with you. The music industry in Hollywood are great examples of what happens when you remove God from the picture. Sin takes control and evil consumes everyone. Well, I'm gonna end this one here. I want to thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.
Runaway slave. I would like to give a big up to all my subs and supporters who like, comment, and share the videos. In addition, a special big up to all those who purchased my masterpiece, my book, The N-Word is No Secret in the Service. Big up to you all. Let's cook. Okay. The fact that somebody like Barack Obama feels as though he can go in a room and speak to black men about politics and what they need to do is just proof, and it shows how much of a spell black people were under when he was in office, okay? The fact that you could have somebody, a man named Barack Obama, who once delivered a eulogy to a Klansman, for a Klansman, exalted Cyclops, friends with KKK man, speak at his eulogy, speak highly of him. The fact that somebody can do that and still feel as though they can come and speak to black men about what they need to do just shows the level of sorcery black people were under with this dude, and it shows the amount of disrespect and lack of respect Barack Obama always had for black American people. And it is what it is. Here we got this dude who feels as though he can speak highly of a Klansman, exalted Cyclops, this guy Bird, when he died, and he still can go speak to black people and think that he can get somewhere. But I'm glad that black people are holding it down. Black men and black women are going at him for this disrespect. So people, in this picture right here, this man in this picture, you see this picture, you probably thinking, well, what's this? This picture right here was taken in the year of 1948 in Talladega, Alabama. It shows two former slaves. The man's name is Jack Riddle. He's 107 years of age in this picture, and that's his wife, Josie. She's 86. Now, as you can see, they're sitting with the Klan here and Santa Claus. So They tried to say that this photograph is a show of charity on the part of the Ku Klux Klan towards this elderly black couple in Alabama. They claim that they gave this couple a gift so that they can have their wish to hear the preachers. Basically, they're saying these people, they wanted to listen to the preachers on the radio, so the Klan and Santa Claus is going to give them a gift. But we know that this black couple here in this picture is absolutely terrified. What these white people did, these terrorists did, they made them come out for this photo op. And from what I gather, it makes sense. The Dixiecrat Klan, okay, were trying to clean up their image a little bit at this time. And therefore, what they did is they went and made this black couple come out and take a picture with them. You can look at their faces. They don't look happy at all. And you can imagine how terrified they are with the history of their people, our people, my people, and the Ku Klux Klan in America, okay? How many times has this 86 and 107-year-old couple here seen the Klan brutalize and burn their relatives, take their lives, blow up their neighborhoods, and do all kinds of things like that? And in their old age, they make these people come out and take this horrific picture. That's what they did, okay? Now, you would wonder how, with the history of the Klan in America, all the evil that they have done to our people and the terror that they have inflicted on our people and are still allowed to do, because they have the support of the local, state, and federal government. Again, most of these guys in the local governments were also members of the Klan, you know. Why would a black community, right? Why would the black community's beloved so-called sweetheart Barack Obama speak highly of a Klansman at his eulogy? Exalted Cyclops. That's right. That's his title. Okay. With somebody with some kind of compassion and respect for the history of the people who voted for him and adore him and who he can do no wrong with, why would he give a heartfelt, invigorating eulogy speech for Congressman Byrd, who is the exalted Cyclops of the West Virginia chapter of the KKK? Why would Barack Obama do this? Okay. We even have people who made songs for him. My president is black. Didn't that dude, Jeezy or whatever, do this, make some song called My President is Black? Black people even have this guy in pictures with Malcolm X. Ultimate disrespect. And Martin Luther King. So why would Barack Obama do such a thing and speak at this domestic terrorist funeral? Well, for one, this guy Byrd is a Dixiecrat like Obama, a Democrat, in which the KKK comes out of. In addition, Barack Obama has no connection to black people in America, absolutely none. His dad is a Kenyan dude. Black people coming up in school. Do you ever remember going to school, high school, junior high, and having somebody from Kenya in your class? On the East Coast, in your hood, or in your area, wherever you're from, wherever, your suburb, somebody from Kenya? Absolutely not. Yeah, you had people from the continent of Africa, but not Kenya. And also, Obama's family is Caucasian. The American Obama has no black relatives whatsoever. He's from a white family. His mother is an entire white woman. Barack Obama probably has members in his family of the KKK. So go figure. That's how somebody like him can speak highly at this dude's eulogy, a guy that many of our people love.
To Mona and Margie and to Senator Byrd's entire family, including those adorable great-granddaughters that I had a chance to meet, Michelle and I offer you our deepest sympathies. To Senator Byrd's friends, including the Speaker of the House, the Majority Leader, the distinguished gentleman from West Virginia could be found at his desk until the very end doing the people's business, delivering soul-stirring speeches, a hint of the Appalachians in his voice, stabbing the air with his finger, fiery as ever, years into his 10th decade. He was a Senate icon. He was a party leader. He was an elder statesman. And he was my friend. That's how I'll remember him. This country that we are not a nation of men. We are a nation of laws. Our way of life rests on our democratic institutions. Precisely because we are fallible, it falls to each of us to safeguard these institutions, even when it's inconvenient, and pass on our republic more perfect than before. Considering the vast learning of this self-taught senator, his speeches sprinkled with the likes of Cicero and Shakespeare and Jefferson, it seems fitting to close with one of his favorite passages in literature, a passage from Moby Dick. And there is a Catskill eagle in some souls that can alike dive down into the blackest gorges and soar out of them again and become invisible in the sunny spaces. And even if he forever flies within the gorge, that gorge is in the mountains, so that even in his lowest swoop, the mountain eagle is still higher than any other bird upon the plain, even though they soar. Robert Byrd was a mountain eagle, and his lowest swoop was still higher than the other birds upon the plain. May God bless Robert C. Byrd.
Here we go, y'all seen it. He said that this guy, the exalted Cyclops Byrd, was flying high amongst the eagles. And you see he tried to make excuses for him. You could see where he tried to clear it up. And that's what a lot of you Negroes do also, I noticed. I've had people say to me, well, he was in the KKK, but he changed his heart. You don't even know this dude. How do you know what's in his heart? Once a Klansman, always a Klansman. He was the exalted Cyclops of the West Virginia chapter of the KKK. Some of you Negroes make excuses for people that you never even spoke to before. Absolutely sick. So this is why somebody like Barack Obama feels as though in 2024 he can come back at the last minute and speak to black men. Although I would seriously doubt that there are any black men who classify as a man that would sit down and listen to Obama speak. I really doubt that. I mean, come on. He's been giving disrespectful speeches to black people for so long. And he's also been a beneficiary of the church lady complex where he can go speak. He can say anything. He can say, your mama's a hoe. And they would stand up and clap and scream and stomp their feet. You know, that church lady complex. The pastor says it, they're clapping and stomping their feet, regardless of what he said. I mean, I've seen this guy, Michael Eric Dyson, do it. I've seen Judge Mathis do it, and Obama did it all the time. He always spoke down in disrespect for the black people. If you ever go back and watch his speeches, whenever there were black people there that he was speaking to, he could say the dumbest, most shallow, empty things, and people would clap, and they would applaud him, okay? He always had this operation, a conglomerate of shine bone, buck dancing celebrity coons who promoted him well, promoted him pretty well also. And these people knew that black people were pretty much into personality worship when it comes to celebrities. So they knew how to put the right celebrities. It's called sorcery, y'all. They love them. It worked out. I never did. Look, man, I was that pessimist from the beginning, but I give people a break. Okay, I get it. Black people want to be happy first time around. They want, okay, I never seen it like that, just based off of history and what I know from Imam El-Hajj Malik Shabazz, AKA Malcolm X, and other people like Ida B. Wells and other people when they spoke and things they said, H. Rap Brown, Fred Hampton, other people, there was no need for me to even fall for this whole bamboozling. But I get it. People just want to be happy. But this guy still thought in 2024, he has the juice to come around and speak to black men or even black people about what they need to be doing in their lives. Disrespectful mutt. And I applaud the brothers and the sisters who went hard on dude, who are saying things and using their platforms to speak out against this nonsense. You need to worry about his family. Worry about your daughters, Obama, on these campuses, laying around and smoking with white frat boys and drinking and stuff like that. Worry about them. Worry about why you sent your daughters to go do an internship with Weinstein when they were big enough to have ornaments on them, okay? They were that age, still underage, but worry about why you did that, why y'all do that type of nasty stuff. Y'all crazy, man. Y'all crazy. The only time this guy, Obama, ever spoke to black men was when he was trying to push something for the LGG people, recruiting more young black men into that sick stuff. And if you notice, almost all the young black men who came off of the vein of these little programs he had or whatever, they're all into this lizard stuff right now. Rainbow lizard stuff. Most all of them. That's when I remember years ago when Dr. Umar Johnson, he said something that he was talking one time about something, and he was like, if you look at all the interns at the White House under Obama, you'll notice that most of all of them young black men are gay. And I was like, wow, how does Umar know that? Because at the time, I was around there quite often. And if you look and you seen, and anybody that was there you knew that any of them young black men who were interns were walking around slim, duck walking at the White House, loose neck, bow ties on, and just looking weird. They looked like they were already sweet. They had internships under the Obama administration. There was no young man that I seen that looked like a regular young man, masculine, whatever, played sports, a regular, somebody that you feel, okay, yeah, he gonna be, or yeah, whatever. He good, he cool. I didn't see that. If there was, get in the comments, leave a comment if you know anything about this, because I seen it. And I was wondering, well, how Umar know that? Because he sure enough was right. Anyway, this guy, Obama, has no respect for black people. He has no respect for our history, for our freedom fighters, for our culture, okay? Somebody who can speak highly of the KKK's exalted Cyclops, okay, speak highly of him. That's because that's what he is as well. This guy, exalted Cyclops, somebody, a West Virginia cracker who's recruited many terrorists off of his vein, who knows what the people that he recruited have went on to do with their lives and how many black people they might have brutalized and things like that. Robert Byrd. How many killers and terrorists came off the vein of Robert Byrd? You know what I mean? Anyway, for all you people who still want to be delusional and still just really trying hard to pick a better white person, how do you feel comfortable bringing up MAGA? How do you feel comfortable bringing up these Trump MAGA people and speaking about racism? And yes, Trump MAGA people are hardcore racist. Yes, they are. But how do you feel comfortable making a fool of yourself, bringing up racism and terror when you support and vote for and speak highly of and love the same people who are friends with Klansmen, speak at their eulogy? Even Biden was there. That's his friend, speaking highly of him. Obama. So where does it make sense that you can look at yourself in the mirror and say, oh, the MAGA is race? You don't care about race. You weirdos, you weaklings do not, you Negro bootlicks, you don't care about racism. That's why I laugh whenever I see people responding to MAGA. Oh, look at them, they're gonna do that. But you like the other MAGA, the other racist people. It's a bunch of ignorance, y'all. Anyway, makes sense as far as racism. These people do not care about racism, y'all. We got to outcast these people, y'all, these Sean Bones. Robert Byrd, the Cyclops, exalted. Anyway, people, keep your boot on the jugular, on the neck, on the vein of these bootlicks, these Sean Bones, these tethers, whatever they want to be, these hateful people who promote racism as long as it's coming from a group of people who they prefer, as opposed to saying later for all of it. Keep your boot on their necks. You're doing a good job. Easy.
In this video, I do want to state that I'm not accusing Barack Obama of any wrongdoing or saying he's guilty of the passing of any of these people in this video. I'm just saying that these people passed away in very mysterious circumstances, and these people happen to be connected to Barack Obama in one way or another. For YouTube reasons, this video is also for entertainment purposes only. So with that being said, let's go ahead and begin. The very first person we're going to be talking about in this video is Loretta Fuddy. Now, Loretta Fuddy was Hawaii's Department of Health director who released Obama's birth certificate. Loretta Fuddy's passing was swept under the rug as natural causes, as a heart attack due to an event due to her age. But this event that had sparked this heart attack is so mysterious that to this day, many people still have questions. Now, on December 11th, 2013, a small plane in Hawaii on a routine flight in the middle of the day, taking off amidst a clear blue sky, suddenly experienced catastrophic engine failure, according to the pilot, Clyde Kawasaki. Shortly after the plane soared from Kalapapai, Molokai, Mr. Kawasaki heard a bang and the engine died.
All I know is bang, and I had an annunciator panel that was nothing but red and yellow lights, and fire warning was going off, and I was like, okay, I'm in trouble.
At that moment, all 9 passengers on board this plane were facing pure horror. Yet, due to the remarkable skill of the pilot, he had been flying since the age of 14 and had flown glider planes for many years. He was able to make mayday calls and also land the plane safely on the water. And so, according to the witnesses on the plane, none of the 9 passengers suffered any life-threatening injuries during the emergency landing, and most stunning of all, the pilot was able to get each of the passengers in the life vest as water flooded into the plane. Everyone made it out of the plane. None of the passengers even had a scratch, and even though these passengers made it out of the plane, they were not out of the woods yet. All 9 passengers at this point escaped with their lives not once, but twice. The landing had been smooth enough, and they were not trapped in the down plane, as it was engulfed by the sea that eventually claimed the entire plane. Even though these passengers made it out of the plane safely, their lives were still in danger. How long would they be able to float out there in choppy waters? The pilot tried desperately to keep the group together and was increasingly dismayed that his passengers in the pitching waves were getting separated. He had given his life vest to one of the passengers and was clinging to a fellow passenger for dear life in the waves. One passenger, 70-year-old Philip Holstein, an Army veteran, made the brave decision to swim as fast as he could to the rocky shore to get help. That swim would take at least 90 minutes. So the question is, would he make it? Would the others survive? This would actually be some of the first pieces of conflicting information to come out, where news articles were saying that it was the 70-year-old Army veteran to swim 90 minutes to shore to get help. Other news articles that are now deleted were saying the Reverend on board the flight said that he and the pilot were able to get the passengers out of the plane wearing their life vest. However, once in the water, they were beginning to drift apart, and so he decided to swim ashore to get help. The Reverend, in a now deleted phone call interview, added that he did not meet the pilot until the pilot arrived at the airport, and the 70-year-old Army veteran is not the pilot. But anyway, continuing with the story, strange day, fate intervened again. Another pilot, Josh Lang, and his girlfriend, Jamie Thompson, were flying nearby on a leisure trip and spotted the plane in duress. No way was anybody going to lose their lives that day. The couple saw the 9 people in the water. They contacted the Molokai Tower and flew to the airport at Kalaupapa to look for help. They flew back and hovered over the group to let them know that help was indeed coming. Now, had the couple not been so sharp in the decisions they made, the passengers may not have been located until well after dark, say pilots who spoke to Hawaii News Now. Quoting Josh Lang, he says, "It was pure luck we were there when we were. I wanted to get as much help as I could. Miraculously, help came in time. The Coast Guard and fire crews arrived on the scene and began to pull the remaining 8 passengers out of the water. Mr. Holstein, the 70-year-old Army veteran, even swam the entire 90 minutes to shore, making it safely to shore. For almost every one of the passengers, they made it out alive safely 3 times on the same day. But despite all the skill, luck, and striking twist of fate that preserved the lives of most members of this group, one person still managed to pass away. And who would be so unfortunate? Well, that one unfortunate person being the Department of Health Director Loretta Fuddy, age 65. She had been at the epic center of the greatest ongoing controversy of the Obama administration over a simple but basic question: is the president eligible to hold office? Amidst multiple media firestorms where there were indeed some serious questions whether or not Barack Obama was eligible to hold the presidency, most in the American public accepted the president's election victories as legitimate because of Loretta Fuddy's work. Loretta Fuddy was extremely vital and the only person to prove whether or not Barack Obama was eligible to be president. In April 2011, Donald Trump led the crusade for Barack Obama to produce his long-form birth certificate. The White House, after stonewalling for quite some time, at last complied.
Today, I'm very proud of myself because I've accomplished something that nobody else has been able to accomplish. I was just informed while on the helicopter that our president has finally released a birth certificate. I'd want to look at it, but I hope it's true so that we can get on to much more important matters so the press can stop asking me questions. He should have done it a long time ago. Why he didn't do it when the Clintons asked for it, why he didn't do it when everybody else was asking for it.
Ms. Fuddy confirmed Barack Obama's birth certificate as authentic, saying no way was Barack Obama born anywhere else but Hawaii. Yet, in the background, Ms. Fuddy did not realize that trouble was brewing. On May 14, 2013, Chief Investigator of the Maricopa County Cold Case Division, Lieutenant Mike Zullo, pursuing a criminal investigation, filed an affidavit to the Supreme Court of Alabama declaring the long-form certificate as a 100% forgery, with testimony by multiple forensic experts. 8 months after that stunning revelation, Ms. Fuddy passed away. The official narrative is that Loretta Fuddy passed away due to suffering a heart attack after hyperventilating after this plane event. But there was one passenger that said that all the passengers, including Loretta Fuddy, were absolutely fine. They were not in distress. They were calm. Mr. Holstein, the 70-year-old Army veteran, described the scene as one where no one was panicking and everyone was helping one another. He said Miss Fuddy was not in distress just before he left the scene and swam to shore. She was clinging onto her deputy, Keith Yamamoto, who was also on that flight. Mr. Yamamoto helped her to put on her life jacket, which was a infant-sized life jacket, and disembarked. There have been no reports that she was bleeding, was in any kind of pain, or crying out any more than the others. She was seen floating calmly along with the others, waiting for help. The pilot of the plane, Mr. Kawasaki, also said in a press conference he did not understand how she passed away. Quoted in a press conference saying, "I could not understand how that could have happened at that time. Excuse me, that she could have passed. I didn't understand how it could have happened," he said. Now, according to another passenger who also happens to be a reverend, Mr. Yamamoto was holding Loretta Fuddy's hand in the water, and she suddenly drifted away from him and passed away. When the Coast Guard arrived, she had no pulse. He, Mr. Yamamoto, recounted how he helped Loretta into her life jacket, and he held her hand for some time, said the reverend. They were all floating together, and she let go, and there was no response from her. When it comes to the life jackets, all other passengers had on adult-sized life jackets, except Loretta Fuddy. Loretta Fuddy had on a infant-sized life jacket. Now, I can't imagine an infant-sized life jacket on a full-grown woman going so far past her neck. They did try to say that another person was wearing an infant-sized life jacket, but 8 adult-sized life jackets were found, and only 1 infant-sized life jacket was found, and that belonging to Loretta Fuddy. The only person wearing the infant-sized life jacket, well, passed away. Interestingly enough, the only other person they said had on an infant-sized life vest was the Army veteran who swam to shore. So why was Loretta Fuddy given an infant-sized life vest to begin with? Well, according to the pilot, in the chaos of making sure everyone had on a life vest, an infant-sized life vest was pulled and given directly to Loretta Fuddy. Now remember, and again, I'm not blaming anybody of any wrongdoing, but Mr. Yamamoto, her deputy, said he was helping put on her life vest, but I can't imagine putting on an infant-sized life vest on a full-grown woman who's said to weigh 220 pounds. The only place that infant-sized life vest is going is over her head and around her neck. Not only was Loretta Fuddy's vest an infant-sized vest, but as coincidence may have it, it was also faulty. Only one of its carbon dioxide cartridges was working. The other one was punctured and empty. After the plane had landed safely on the water and there were multiple reports that everybody was calm, everybody was fine, nobody was injured, then the story started to slowly change. Among the passengers, one couple suffered serious injuries, a man suffered broken ribs and a head gash, his wife also had some broken ribs and a broken sternum. The pilot suffered serious head injuries. Now we are getting reports that there was a lot of chaos on the plane, so much so that Loretta Fuddy started to hyperventilate and she had a heart attack and she passed away. That was the official cause of Loretta Fuddy passing away. She suffered a cardiac event due to the stress that was put on her heart from this plane crashing into the water. Now, what is rather interesting is that there was GoPro camera footage that was released of this plane landing in the water. And it kind of correlates to what the 70-year-old Army veteran was saying. Everybody was calm, nobody was panicking. Listen to what the news reporters say at the end of this clip. They say how calm everybody was and there was not a single scream. Also, people have pointed out something rather interesting also seen in this clip as well.
Now to that ABC News exclusive and that extraordinary footage inside the plane crash. This we want to show you is the kind of camera it was shot on. It's called a GoPro camera, and it is a remarkable video. Take a look. Those passengers don't know it yet, but they are seconds away from experiencing the worst fear of every air traveler. Suddenly, the alarm sounds. The plane is going down, spiraling into the ocean. A mad scramble as water fills the inside of the plane. Survivors going for the exits. Clinging to anything they can get their hands on.
Oh, you gotta put it on first before you put it. You gotta put it on first. Everybody okay?
Throughout the 3-minute ordeal, Ferdinand Fuentes' camera never stops rolling. even as the plane begins to sink into the ocean.
It's as if time stopped and everything that you remembered in your past, your loved ones and everything, this, I didn't say goodbye to them. Your whole life just goes in front of you.
And we were remarking and watching the video, listening, how calm everyone was.
Not a single scream, and
was
so methodical, all getting out in time.
Now, people say, and I have to say, I see it too, that in this clip, in this GoPro video, you can see what appears to be a scuba diver in front of Loretta Fuddy. Now, what's interesting is that there should be no scuba divers in this area. Neither was one reported to be among the passengers. It's just supposed to be these passengers exiting this down plane and these passengers wearing life vests. There was never a report of a scuba diver, but as you can see here, there does appear to be a scuba diver in front of Loretta Fuddy. Whether this is a scuba diver or not, what is seen on camera is vastly different than what was being reported by news and media. But all in all, the official cause for Loretta Fuddy passing away, the same woman who is very vital to the Supreme Court case that was later tossed away, well, again, she had a heart attack due to all the chaos that was surrounding her. But Loretta Fuddy would not be the only person connected to Barack Obama to pass away in the waters. What is also rather interesting is that this scuba diver was also a theory to another person passing away in the water. A Virginia man who worked as a chef for former President Barack Obama for over a decade, 45-year-old Tafari Campbell, passed away in a tragic accident while paddleboarding on Martha's Vineyard Sunday, July 23rd, 2023. When it comes to Loretta Fuddy, yes, it's very strange, it's very mysterious, but there can be pushback where people can say she's older, she's in her 60s, she's overweight. It's always possible she did indeed have a heart condition, and this event, her flight event, exacerbated this condition. No matter how many times you can beat it in a person's head that Loretta Fuddy's passing was very strange, there will always be that pushback. But when it comes to 45-year-old Tafari Campbell, bar none, this is the strangest passing of a person that was quickly swept under the rug. This is the type of case where you have to be in the upper echelons, high up in the ranks, in order to sweep under the rug and quickly sweep under the rug how this person passed away. Tafari Campbell first worked for George W. Bush and was asked to stay on to work for the Obamas. The Obamas said they liked Campbell's cooking so much, they asked him to stay on even after they left the White House. But it wasn't just Campbell's culinary skills that impressed the Obamas. They said in a statement after Campbell passed away, they loved his personality and the way he approached food. Tafari Campbell was visiting the Obamas at their Martha's Vineyard home at the time of his passing. It is said that supposedly the Obamas were not present at their residence at the time that Tafari Campbell had passed away. So then the question is, what exactly happened to Tafari Campbell? He was last seen paddleboarding near the Obamas' Martha's Vineyard residence. State police and the Obamas said that Monday. He went missing around 7:45 p.m. that Sunday on Edgartown Gray Pond, Massachusetts, state police said. When this story had first been reported, police were called after someone reported that a paddleboarder had gone into the water, struggled at the surface, went under, and failed to resurface. Another paddleboarder saw him go under, police said. Police came out there with side sonar equipment. They did not find him until the next day. Divers recovered his body in about 8 feet of water, around 100 feet from shore, just before 10 a.m. that Monday. Police had also found him with no clothes on. His clothes were separated from his body. Now, here's the thing. When police went out there to find Tafari Campbell's body, they could not find it right away because apparently he had floated out to a much deeper end. He had fallen over in Edgartown Gray Pond, but he ended up in another pond rather quickly, even though great ponds, they do not have quick currents. There also seems to be another interesting fact. Edgartown Gray Pond is only anywhere from 2 to 4 feet deep. This 6-foot-tall man could have easily stood up, but those who were paddleboarding in the area said they saw him go over, They saw him go under. He resurfaced. He went back under after struggling in a pond that's anywhere from 2 to 4 feet deep. Was Tafari Campbell drunk? Did he have a medical emergency that caused him to go overboard? Did he have a heart attack like Loretta Fuddy? Even if you're young and healthy, you could still have a heart attack. No, none of that. An autopsy report came out, a toxicology report came out. He was clean, he had no drugs in his system, he had no alcohol in his system, and he had no medical emergency. It was just concluded this was just an accident. So who was the other person paddleboarding with Tafari Campbell? The fellow paddleboarder, when he drowned near the Martha's Vineyard compound, is also a staffer to the former president. So another staffer was paddleboarding with Tafari Campbell while the Obamas were apparently not at their residence. This staffer also reportedly tried to save Tafari Campbell from drowning. We are never given an age, a name, or the position of the staffer. Even still to this day, they are known as the staffer. This staffer, when they realize they cannot save Tafari Campbell, they go back to shore, they reach out to Secret Service, who then calls 911. There are theories that this is not even a real 911 call. There was a lawsuit to release the 911 call because they were not doing so. When they finally did so, this was released, and people had said that this was not a 911 call. This is a dispatch. Some people even believe that this might be AI. We don't know. But even to me, this does not seem like a normal 911 call.
911, the sign's recorded. Where is your emergency?
We have a male drowning in the back of the property right now. We have our rescue swimmers. They're attempting to go out there right now.
What's your phone number that you called in on? What's the best access?
Swimmer and an agent driving down there right now to get on the boat. Someone came running up to our back post saying that a gentleman, it's just a guest of the house, is out there drowning. So right now, our rescue swimmer's going out there.
All right, and you said you guys have boat access, so what do you guys need? Do you need an ambulance, or do you need water rescue as well?
They didn't advise right now. I would say at least an ambulance, and I don't know if what they're doing in the back of the property right now. I know we have our rescue swimmer who's getting the boat right now. I would say at least an ambulance. I don't know what the time is.
All right, I'll send the ambulance over, and I'll contact the fire chief and see where he wants to go, the duty chief, and see if he wants to drop the boat in there.
I don't know if you have like a better number for me to call you back if we get them out of the water, and I can give you another situation report. They're not passing anything over the radio right now.
Yeah, I can give you that if you'd like.
Yeah, go ahead. Okay.
And hit 0 at the prompt, and it'll come right to us.
0 at the prompt.
Yeah, 6 times
okay.
0.
We'll have our gate open, and we'll send the ambulance down to the front of the house. And I'll call you back once I hear about once they give a status report down by the water.
Mm-hmm. And do you know if it's a male or a female?
It's a male, 40.
40. All right, old male. All right, I will. I'll start telling everyone out there. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Thank you. Take care. Bye.
This call is rather interesting for a number of reasons, but the biggest reason happens to be they found Tafari Campbell's paddleboard and his hat right away, but they could not find his body in a pond that does not have a current.
Sheriff's Office,
So our rescue swimmers aren't able to locate the gentleman that was reported drowning. So they're out in the water right now. But as of now, they don't know where he is.
Okay, so they're unable to locate the party right now.
Correct.
Okay. Do you have any description of what he was wearing?
Do we know what he was wearing? Give me a second. Stand by, I'll let you know in a second. Okay. Yeah, so he's wearing all black. He's on a paddleboard. He's a 40-ish-year-old black gentleman, regular build. And we have our rescue swimmers on a boat in the area right now.
Okay. And they haven't located the paddleboard either.
1 second. Hey, from command post. Have you located the paddleboard? Copy. Thank you. All right. So they have the paddleboard and the hat.
Okay. But not him. And do we know if he was wearing a life vest?
Here that I have to keep stressing. This pond is only 2 to 4 feet deep. So again, like I said, they eventually found Tafari Campbell's body the next day. And again, he had no clothes on. His clothes were separated from his body. But come to find out, the Obamas were actually on Martha's Vineyard. They may not have been inside their home as it was stated, but they actually were on Martha's Vineyard, outside on Martha's Vineyard. When this story had first came out, Barack Obama's chef drowns in Martha's Vineyard, news and media quickly came out and said it can happen, especially if a person is not such a great swimmer. But unfortunately for them, this video came out where it shows Tafari Campbell is actually a great swimmer. Because nothing in this story makes any sense whatsoever, of course, then people will start to theorize as to what happened to Tafari Campbell. One of the theories is that a scuba diver was waiting for Tafari Campbell underwater. When he arrived, they knocked him off his paddleboard and they held him underwater. This scuba diver quickly took Tafari Campbell's body and brought it to the deeper end of Martha's Vineyard. So if Tafari Campbell passing away is something nefarious and sinister, then what did Tafari Campbell know or see that put his life in jeopardy? There are a lot of theories as to what Tafari Campbell actually saw, but one of the biggest theories is that he was writing a tell-all book that the Obamas did not approve. After Tafari Campbell had passed away, his wife was supposed to release this book, but she backed off, she backed away. News and media once again took over and said there was no such book that was going to be released. And well, that was that. The authorities, the investigators, the medical examiners all determined that Tafari Campbell, him passing away, it was just an accident. There was nothing suspicious. There was no foul play. He was not intoxicated. This 6-foot-tall man, he fell over on his paddleboard, landed in 3 to 4 feet of water, 2 to 4 feet of water, in a pond where the currents are not very swift, and he drowned. Now, it should also be rather interesting to note, a couple of days after Tafari Campbell supposedly drowned, these photos came out where it shows Barack Obama golfing. You can also see bandages around his finger, and he's also sporting discoloration around his eye. News and media quickly came out again and stated, well, Barack Obama always wears bandages around his finger or fingers when he goes golfing, but they could never debunk what happened to his eye. Now, there is Joan Rivers who said something about Michelle and Barack Obama, which I am sure they did not like on camera. And then after she says this on camera, she would pass away sometime later while having surgery.
Ms. Rivers, how are you? You made a ton of news officiating the wedding in New York yesterday. Is this like a new cottage career move for you?
I'm so excited.
Okay.
And I should do very well because I don't charge.
And do you think that the country will see the United States will see the first gay president or the first woman
we
president?
already have it with Obama, so let's just calm down.
Got it.
You know Michelle is a tramp.
I'm sorry, she's a what?
a transgender. We all know.
Oh my gosh.
Oh gosh. It's okay. She does it.
Before we do continue with this third person who is not Joan Rivers, I also want to mention that the Clintons also had a chef who mysteriously passed away as well. And the cause behind him passing away was that, well, he also drowned as well. There was no foul play, no suspicious activity. He just drowned. The next person on the list who passed away mysteriously after having a certain connection to Barack Obama was Andrew Breitbart. Andrew Breitbart was a 43-year-old conservative commentator and the owner of Breitbart.com. Back in February of 2012, Andrew Breitbart is said to have multiple videos of Barack Obama back in his college days that would damage his run for presidency once again in 2012. Breitbart gave multiple interviews stating, "I have videos this election. We're going to vet him. We are going to vet him from his college days to show you why racial division and class warfare are essential to what Hope and Change was sold in 2008. The videos are going to come out." He said he had multiple videos that would forever damage his legacy and also his current run for president once again. Breitbart said he would release these videotapes in the middle of March of 2012 after his website had been redesigned. People on the right, they were very excited about these videotapes. Now remember, once again, I said videotapes. People on the left, they were very curious. They were saying, what were these tapes going to show? Breitbart was finalizing the design of his website, and he was getting ready to release these tapes. At around 11:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on February 29, 2012, Breitbart collapsed on a street near his home in Brentwood. He was rushed to Ronald Reagan UCLA Medical Center, where he was pronounced deceased 12:19 a.m. on March 1st, 2012. The cause, well, like Loretta Fuddy, he had a heart attack. So, of course, due to the very interesting and bizarre timing, the internet just explodes with theories connecting Obama to Breitbart. Well, to save face to show that nothing sinister had taken place between Obama and Breitbart, somebody tells Breitbart.com to release a videotape. Breitbart.com does exactly that. They release one videotape. Now, this one videotape is really nothing. I can't imagine that this is what Andrew Breitbart was going to use to bring down Barack Obama. Like I said, there were multiple tapes that were never released. News and media, they start to celebrate. They start to gloat. They say, is that all you got? Is this all you have? Is this your king? This one videotape where Barack Obama is giving a speech during his college years. And indeed, that was that. We did not get to see the other tapes that Breitbart apparently had. Barack Obama went ahead to win the 2012 presidential election. Would these other unreleased tapes have made a difference? We do not know. But what we do know is that the timing of when Andrew Breitbart passed away is indeed rather suspicious. Now, again, I do want to end this video by saying I am not accusing Barack Obama of any wrongdoing. This video is just taking a look at 3 people, or 4, if you count Joan Rivers, who passed away in very mysterious circumstances, and they all had something in common. With that being said, thank you so much for watching. If you like this channel and you want to see more, please subscribe. If you're already subscribed, please like.
Kofi. Follow me.